hello. I didn't see you there. How's it going?
Oh, I didn't see you either. I was just
Wow.
randomly sitting here dancing on the internet.
That's crazy that we just like ran into each other like this.
Yeah.
We got to stop meeting like this every Tuesday at 11.
Yeah. It's a very specific time every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, I told the chat that we were late because you were yelling racial slurs at me.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was.
I don't
He
know
was
what
just
else to yeah. I mean, I
epithet
did
after-
know what else to say, but I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I get it. I deserve it.
Yeah.
I am. Well, I can't say any of the things you said, but I am all of those things. And I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna educate myself.
And just for the record, Amanda's 100% topless right now. She
Oh,
just
yeah.
came on stream, and I was like, "Why are you like crouched like this below the camera?" And she's
Because
like,
my
"What?"
boobies are gonna
Yeah.
show.
I don't want to get demonetized before I get monetized. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, I finally set up a Streamlabs thing just to see if it would work and how it would work. So the link should be at the top if you want to contribute an offering to the altar of Daywalker.
Yeah.
That's why I'm topless. Is because
Yeah, she's like, listen, I have a
give me the-
Streamlabs set up, and maybe a big tip, I'll just stand up accidentally, and
but just the tip.
yeah, just the tip, yeah, just like Gavin McGinnis.
I was gonna say everybody else is showing their bits
Yeah.
and bobs on live streams. Why can't I? This is
Yeah.
real equality.
It's really funny if like you run into somebody that hasn't, because one person, I was on a stream the other day and it took them a second, and I was like, what point should I get up and just like whip my dick out on stream? And they were like, what? Oh wow, yeah, it was actually pretty good. So.
Did we ever confirm if that actually was real or if that was like a prosthetic?
They're all pretty sure it's fake.
I mean, it's still
the-
gross.
Yeah, the general consensus that it's fake. There's like a thing that you can get. It's called the Whizzer, and it looks like it's a fake penis, and it looks like a penis, and
Why would you need this?
so you can piss all over your set without actually pissing on your set.
It's just for that purpose. It was made just for
Yeah.
Gavin McGinnis.
Yeah, that's exclusively what it was there for. Yeah.
Wait, so I'm no seriously though. What is this for? What is this fake wee wee for? Is it for fake?
I think it's just like it's like a gag
fake
gift, so you can pee. Yeah.
for women.
No, I think it's just period. I think it's just a gag gift that you can get to like fake pee or whatever. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm just saying, wouldn't it for guys? Wouldn't it be like kind of pointless? Like you're just
Well, not
an
if
extra
you don't
layer.
want to really whip out your dick on stream or like in public.
also. Shield Wall says, "What's up, everyone? I want to see Amanda do a pee skit." No,
Yeah.
that's on my OnlyFans. That's a behind the paywall skit.
Let's see if I can. I don't even know where the name of it is, but yeah, like there's a thing that you can get that'll make it do that.
Mike, are you looking at fake wee wees on the internet during a live stream? This is so
No, I'm being very,
unprofessional.
very careful as to what I actually type in, because I was like, I don't want to see fake penises on stream here. But I can't really find it right now. I'll have to look it up later. I might have to save search on it. I don't know.
You already have that thing, like that tab saved, a bookmark.
Yeah, bookmark. Well, that's a very specific tab that I have bookmarked, and that's why I can't show it on stream. I'm pulling it up. I'm just like been looking through like articles of like people. Recently, there's just been a lot of people getting away with like all kinds of weird crimes and stuff, and I'm kind of digging this. So I have a couple of these pulled up.
Is this like the personal purge? Like you're like, yes, this is what I've always wanted.
Apparently, like just some like really weird stuff. Like a group of guys broke out of jail. They like did the whole like Shawshank Redemption thing and like dug through a wall, and then they got out, and instead of like going and like running away off into the sunset, they went to IHOP, like a nearby IHOP.
I think someone shared that with me. What was it? It was like they got. Oh, my dad. I think my dad shared that with me.
Okay, yeah, it was in I think Virginia. Yeah, they well, it was 2 inmates in a Virginia jail used primitively made tools, create a hole in the wall of their cell, and escaped, only to be found hours later at an IHOP restaurant nearby. Authorities discovered 2 men, ages 37 to 43, missing from their cells during a routine head count Monday evening, according to a statement from the Newport News Sheriff Office. Preliminary investigation found the men exploited a weakness in the jail's construction design. Blah, blah, blah. We don't care about all that. What we want to know
They
Yeah, they
probably
asked.
felt really proud of that, though. You just blew right
Yeah,
past it. They were like, "This took us a year," and they had that whole montage where they're like, they had the maps of the prison. They're like, "Okay,
yeah,
here's what we're gonna do," and there's like zooming in on cool stuff.
yeah,
Music's playing, and you're just like, "Yeah, fuck that shit."
yeah. I was like, cool, that's great, sounds fun. You know, apparently one of the tools they made was a toothbrush. Like they used part of a toothbrush.
Well, you use toothbrushes, like you can sharpen them and make a shiv. So that's probably what they did. They didn't just like
Yeah,
erode their way through the prison walls by just rubbing on the like
yeah.
the brush a lot.
Do that again for the stream for
Oh yeah,
your tips. Yeah.
with my in my topless thing, like.
Yeah.
I told you I had
But
a friend who did that, right? Who used to be like, "Yay!" And I told her eventually, I'm like, "You know what that looks like, right?" And
oh
she
no.
eventually she just like leaned into it. And now when she does it, she like sticks her tongue out. She's like, "Ah."
I thought you
This
were
is a,
gonna say she stopped doing it after a while. Now
no,
she
and
just like owns it.
this is a friend that I knew from church too. She had a good sense
Oh
of
wow.
humor. She's like, "Well,
She's like, I guess it's gonna look like I'm doing it. I'll just really go all in on it.
yeah,
I respect that.
yeah."
So yeah, the authorities asked for the public's help to find the men. They're taken into custody again early Tuesday at an IHOP like nearby. Yep. They just called and somebody snitched on them and they were just sitting there eating IHOP. I was like, wow.
That's
Kind of
like close to the prison, like not even like five
yeah.
states away.
No, I think it was like just a town over or something. It wasn't very far away. But the fact that they got like caught that quickly says a lot. It also is kind of weird because I don't know. I feel kind of bad for those guys. They put in all that work and they're like, hey, let's just go to an IHOP and like eat some pancakes. And you're like, somebody snitched them on an IHOP. Like it would be one thing if they walked in like a Red Lobster or I wouldn't even say Red Lobster. That's not like a bougie restaurant where like a bunch of like a Cracker Barrel or a bunch of whites were like, oh my god, the criminals are here,
A bunch of
and then like snitched
whites.
them out. Yeah, but like fucking IHOP, like, guys, like just let them eat their pancakes, leave them alone. You know?
Like at least just wait outside in the parking lot for them. Don't interrupt this
Yeah,
moment.
don't like call them and they're like in the IHOP right there. Hey, they're in here eating pancakes. Come get them. You know, like let them finish their meal. Then yeah, the cops are just like waiting outside for them.
Had they gotten to eat, or was it like they had ordered? And like that's the worst. If you're like you ordered and then the cops come and arrest you, I hate when that happens. Like I'm like,
See,
let me have some of my food first.
has this happened to you often?
When I show up naked to IHOPs like this, yeah.
Yeah, just walk in. Hello, I'm
It's
here.
like hello world,
I'm
and
like, oh
like
god, she's back.
with my veil and nothing else. And like they're like,
Yeah,
oh, she's the girl who thinks she's a widow.
yeah.
Also,
They're like, we're calling cops now.
that makes more sense that the wizard is probably used for drug tests so that they can like
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, that's why it looks like a penis, a real penis. Because they're like, hey, is that a real penis or is that a
want to
fake one?
I want to see your dick. I want to watch you
Yeah.
do this drug test in front of me.
Oh jeez. Let me see. Drug test, fake penis. There we go. I'm safe. Yeah. Oh, the Whizzinator.
There, okay.
Yep,
I've got,
it does. Yep, it looks like a little fake little penis tip.
ew.
That's pretty gross. Like, it doesn't have any of the glamour. Like, not that. I mean, okay. Let me phrase this. You know, you want sometimes your product to look appealing to people. This doesn't look appealing at all. It looks like, I don't know, some like weird underwear, like some like granny underwear that you have to wear. It's like a girdle like harness thing, and then like it's just got like a penis just like hanging off the end of it.
I mean, I hate to break it to you, but penises never look appealing. They're functional. They're not aesthetic.
Oh, you don't like the look of penises? Gotcha.
No, everything else about them is
All right.
fun, but
Oh,
the look
sure.
of them is comical.
That's fair. I mean, what
Also,
I mean is like it's just the product itself does not like look. It looks really bad. It looks like a diaper with like a dick hanging out the end of it. That's my thing. That's what's weird about it. I'm like, wow, okay, you know.
like,
Yeah.
what do you mean, like hanging out the side of it, or like the front, like there's like a I don't know,
Like
like a
I
opening of the
can't show
diaper.
you what this looks like.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate that. I realized.
Yeah,
Like,
you know, I'll send you the picture in the private chat, and then you can look at it for yourself.
oh,
But
I
yeah,
have no judgment. Like I have no
no,
discernment. I'll be like, oh, let me share this, and then I'll wonder why my channel gets
That's
nuked
fair.
off the
Never mind.
internet.
Yeah, never mind. I shouldn't share it to you at all. But yeah, and you can like it has like a little syringe you can like push the fake pee into, so you can like Yeah, have the fake pee in there ready to go. It's like a little bladder, and you're just like, oh, I'm peeing. No,
Just like that.
no,
Also,
it's
the idea that this
yeah,
is a Batman villain, like the
yeah.
Whizzler.
Apparently, when I typed in the Wizard, apparently that is I think he's a superhero.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, well that's not what it's called, but it's the Whizzinator. Yeah, the Wizard. He's a superhero appearing in Marvel Comics.
What does he do?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because why would you name a character the Wizard? He was created, I think. He has super speed powers. Oh, he was created in the 40s before they probably thought about like, oh,
The Whiz.
the Wiz. Yeah, and his like costumes like super fucking yellow.
That's
That's
hilarious.
yeah, that's really gross, bro.
If
Like,
Marvel wants to revive their, what is this, phase 4, phase 5, they need to bring back the Wizard. I think that's what needs to
yeah,
happen.
that's he's the hero that'll save us all. Um,
Also,
he
this.
go
No,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say he, due to a reaction between his latent genetic mutation and an injection of mongoose blood, he has the ability to
What?
move its.
In what circumstance would that be necessary?
It's
Is this
just
like
like,
a
give him his
thing?
mongoose blood. You know, like I don't know.
Like, all right, man.
He can move at superhuman speeds and has superhuman reflexes. He can create cyclones by running in circles. Yeah, all the stuff that superhero people can do. But he doesn't run that super fast. Like he can attain speeds faster than he can run at approximately 100 miles per hour. It's actually like, I mean, that's obviously faster than like, you know, a regular human by a lot, but it's not that crazy fast.
Is yeah, do mongooses run fast? Like I'm just wondering like what doctor was like, like mongooses are similar enough to humans that we can just inject him, or was it like he was at a party and he fell asleep and instead of drawing dicks on him, like that's what happens when you fall asleep at a party with a bunch of evil scientists.
Yeah, they're just like, hey man, just put some mongoose blood in
Yeah,
that
come
guy.
on, this
Oh
would be
shit, you got
hilarious.
superpowers. It's fucking rad, man. Oh no.
What?
So I'm like, I just started reading a little bit about. Apparently, God, this story definitely seems like a bunch of guys that were just like drunk, and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if, um, yeah, he apparently was in Africa. He got like fucking dengue fever and then had to go to Africa, need a blood transfusion. So that's why they gave him the mongoose blood.
They could have given him like some of their blood. Like that just feels a little bit like
No, like he got attacked by a cobra and a mongoose showed up, and this doctor was like, "Oh, there's a mongoose." There's like, take his blood and give it to the guy. But it kept going, and I was like, okay, so he decides to fight crime, blah 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 blah. He ends up getting a superhero sidekick, an African American friend named Slow Mo Jones.
oh my god.
Yeah, what they described it as is a stereotyped African American friend named Slow Mo Jones. I'm like starting to see why the Wizard kind of disappeared
How
from.
is he stereotyped? Wouldn't the wizard be the black guy? Like technically they're playing against type by making the black guy the slow one.
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to wonder. But they called him Slow Mo Jones. Oh no!
Is there a picture of
Oh no! I mean, they tried to modernize him apparently, but oh god.
Show it. Pixar
All
didn't
right.
happen.
God dang it! I was trying not to show this. All right. All right. Look up Slow Mo Jones here. Oh God. So there's like some of his modern ones, but
Yeah.
this is what he looked like in the comic strip.
Oh my god. Hey boss, wait for me. I'm coming as fast as I can. Oh man.
Yeah, this is
Man.
bad. Oh no. I mean, this is him in the 70s.
Oh no, and he's like falling asleep on the job. Like these are all like the
Yeah, this is bad. I see Marvel's like, please don't bring up Slow Mo Jones. That's why they didn't bring back the Wizard. I'm gonna show you. I'll just show you what the Wizard
Apparently
looks like too.
somebody said that who was it? Digimental says they did use the wizard in Jessica Jones.
Did they? I don't
Yeah,
remember
apparently
that.
look, apparently it's that guy.
Oh yeah. See, okay, I do remember him being in Jessica Jones, but I just like it didn't click to me that he was a hero because I didn't look him up. But yeah, he dies like right away. So that's right, because I remember him talking about how he had superpowers, and she was like, "What?" But yeah, this is his costume. Even like the
Oh
the
man.
glow up, it looks bad. Like he's wearing like waterproof galoshes and stuff. It really does look like he goes around peeing on people.
Maybe if you like zoom out in that Sam Smith video, he's like in the corner, like they hired him
Yeah,
as an extra because he's not getting a lot of work these days.
he's just going. Yeah. Somebody said, "Nah, this is OG racism when blacks were just seen as lazy." Yeah.
That's yeah, like in the kind of like I'm running as fast as I can, boss,
Yeah, I
master.
was like, "Oh no, bro." Yeah. At some point, you just gotta go. Like, you know what? Wasn't our best look. Let's just let it go. But then they did bring him back. They brought him back a couple different times and try to make him like look cooler. And
They're
I'm like,
like,
just
maybe
stop.
we'll try. We'll keep trying it.
Yeah. He named himself the Wizard. Like, you gotta stop at some point and go. You know what? Let's just call it good. We're just done with this guy. Wow.
Just put it to bed.
Yeah, just put it. Yeah, or something. Well, not in your bed though, because he'll pee in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he'll wet the bed. He'll whiz the bed.
Goodness gracious, slow mo Jones. That was the
I
part that stood out to me. I was like, oh, dude, no. The fact that they brought him back and they're like, what? We're gonna redeem this racist stereotype. Like, just let it go. Oh, I hate you so much. You're the
You're
worst.
my sidekick now. Oh, I
I
should be
know.
Wizzo Daywalker. Wizard Day. People are gonna log on and be like, "Why is she naked? Why is he slow mo Mike? Why does she
Yeah,
have
and why
wizard in
is
her
she called
name?"
the Wizard? Yeah,
We're only 20. Oh, there we go.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah. This is
Wizard Daywalker
yeah,
or Day Wizard. No, no, it should be Day Wizard. Hold
Day
on.
Wizard. Yeah, I was actually trying to think. I was like, Wizard seems it doesn't roll off the tongue. Day Wizard rolls off the tongue pretty well. Um,
There we go. It's already off the rails, and we're not even 20 minutes in.
mm-hmm.
It's good. It's a good. I think it's a record for us.
I do need a bowler hat now
He does
and some
suspenders.
suspenders. Yeah,
And every time we log on, you'll be like, "What we doing today, boss? For sure."
yeah. Let's
Oh,
go. I'm slow as hell. Yeah.
I'm well, I guess you'd have to talk really slow. He'd be like, I'm a coming as fast as I can.
Yeah, damn. So, so fucking racist. Like,
Damn, damn, damn.
yeah, dude. That was bad. As a total aside, I actually have like a ton of like PTSD about suspenders because
Oh,
my mom used to
kinky.
make me wear them as a kid.
Oh.
No. My mom used to make me wear them as a kid, and I hated them. And I would like cry because I was like, please don't make me wear these anymore. She's like, you look fine, you look good, and so she'd make me go to like school and stuff with them. And then like, well, a couple years ago, I was gonna go to a wedding, and I like found a pair of suspenders, and I was like, those kind of look cool, like they're a little bit fashionable. And I put them on, and immediately like threw me back to a child, and I was like, oh, don't make me wear these. So I like threw them away. I was like, okay, I can't. I'm not ready for this.
First
Yeah,
world problems.
yeah, really, really first world problems. Yeah, yeah.
Choco Hooligan says if they want to revamp the wizard, they should call him Piss and Boots. Guaranteed profits.
That's
Also, he
true.
said
Yeah.
he said prof tits, and I don't know if that was a typo or not, but I like it.
No, it was 100% prof tits. Yep.
Prof tits.
Yep. Goodness gracious.
Oh my god. What were we? Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I was
Dude,
not dressed like Urkel as a kid. I actually looked pretty dope back in the day. They had a rocket on them.
a rocket?
Yeah, they were like the little like the suspenders, and then they had like a rocket design in the back, like at the crosshatch
Mm,
thing.
That's
Have you
my
never
brain.
watched this?
My brain was thinking when you said rocket on him, like it was like strapped to him like a little suicide bomber,
Oh yeah, that would actually be kind of cool too. Yeah,
which is
yeah. That's why I had PTSD because I just never knew when it was gonna go off. You know, if this was gonna be like the day that Allahu Akbar'd myself. Yeah.
the guy I'm seeing was like I was showing him pictures of me as a kid, and he's like, "Yeah, you definitely had a glow up." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "You looked like a little Iraqi boy." To be fair, it was it was
Oh shit, that's
during the
actually really good.
it was during the phase where I had cut my bangs off at like I don't know how old was I 6 or 7 or something, maybe not that old, maybe like 5 or 6, but I just cut it off like just right at the thing,
Wow.
so it's just like and I gotta find
I
it. Hold
don't
on.
want these anymore.
Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
being impulsive and very stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, where was the
Little Iraqi boy.
little
That's actually two.
There we go. Oh no. Okay, are you guys ready?
I don't think anybody's ready for this.
Okay. Uh, uh, uh.
Oh no. Yeah.
And my hair was like, I didn't pull it back. Like I think I just woken up and I didn't know to like brush my hair, so it's just like sticking out on the sides. You
Your
see the
parents are like,
ow.
oh, take that picture. That's awesome.
You
You
see
look
like
so.
a little ponytail in the back, like a
Yeah.
just like a little rat tail almost, and then just like you see where it's just cut like right there, just like.
I'm sorry. This is my favorite. Oh.
Oh my! And I got
Just-
stains on my shirt, like so. Yeah, he was like, he's like,
amazing.
oh, you look like a little Iraqi boy.
From Ahmed to Amanda. Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I do have a sketch idea for something like a fake reality show called Jihadi to Hottie.
Did you used to look like this? Well, we could change
We can
that.
help you, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Also,
Wow.
I see now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was my little brother.
Wow. That's
And- Yeah, we both look
No
like little
judgment.
Iraqi boys, I guess. Well, he looks like a little white boy.
yeah. Well, yeah, or something. But there you are, little Iraqi Amanda.
Yep. Let me see
Ahmed.
if there's any others that he. Yeah, I
Young
thought I was
Ahmed.
cute, and he's like, mm-hmm. He's like, you're cute now.
Oh no! Wow. Yeah. Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're such a cute kid. Yeah.
No, he did not hold back.
Wow.
This one's not as bad. This was, yeah, this one because you don't really see the whole thing, but I think it's also because I look browner because we lived in Florida when I was a kid.
Okay.
So like, you still see the cutoff. You see my bang, the magic of my whatever I tried to do.
Yeah. You just like grabbed him and just like cut him as close to your forehead as possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Child soldier kidnapping the white son of a congressman.
That's amazing.
I mean,
so off the rails.
I
Oh my
showed you
God.
guys that picture, right? Well, that's why. Well, Mike, beforehand, I was like, "All right, you ready to go?" And he's like, "Wait, we don't have anything to talk about." I'm like, "Bitch, please.
Yeah,
We'll just
figure
start.
something out.
We'll find stuff."
Yeah.
Hold on. That was your little brother. What'd you do to him? Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I was just like, he done fucked up. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I can't have you know I can't have you know too much because if you know what he did, I'd have to kill you too.
Yeah.
But he's in a better place.
Mhm.
By better place, I mean Virginia.
Yeah.
All right, let me see.
In jail, he just got arrested at IHOP for
Yep.
escaping.
Yeah. That's actually why I knew about. That's why my dad shared the article. He's like, "Oh, look at Colin. Look at your brother.
Yeah.
Look at him go." Let's see. Remove that because I showed you guys. I mean, I guess if you haven't all seen my I talked about it in which one of my reaction videos? One of my reaction videos. It might have been the Sailor Moon one. But it was the picture where it looked like me and my family, my brown ass family, kidnapped a little white boy. I need to show this to you. You've seen it, Mike. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. This is not good.
You're not good.
She's just doxing her whole family on stream.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep.
She's like, look at my family. They look like they kidnapped a white child.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, no. This was okay. First of all, this is the full picture. I didn't see that before. God damn it. Look at my sister. She looks cute. I mean, I think she actually did the same thing to her bangs because she was copying me. I forgot about that. But I mean, at least she looks cute. Like she's got her little like side pigtails. She's got her swan princess shirt. Whereas I'm just like, I look like I'm like the child who's like my mom is like asleep on the couch because she's like injected her like I don't know heroin or dicks into her, and I'm like the one who had to grow up too soon, so I don't know how to cut my own hair, and I'm like raising my brother as if he's my own.
Yeah. Yep. That's your little white child. Yep.
And then his name is Colin. That goes a long way towards the whiteness. Yeah. I mean, we all have white names. Amanda's not particularly like ethnic. All
Yeah,
right,
that's
let's
pretty
see.
white. I didn't want to tell you that, but no,
Well,
not
no, I
anymore.
mean that was like in my stand-up. That was like one of the first jokes I made was like, Amanda. My name's Amanda Miller, which sounds like I have a. Was it like? It sounds like I have a couple kids. Like I'm gonna go pick up my kids from a Montessori school. And they have like a backpack full of gluten-free snacks, and their names are what did I say? I was like, oh fuck, something. It was like Brayley and McCaxlin or something like that.
Damn.
Because yeah, Amanda Miller. It's like John Smith.
Yeah, that is. Listen, I'm not judging. You know.
Amanda's the foster kid. I mean, I
Yeah.
look like my siblings. I'm not the foster kid, but yeah, like the rest of them are like the ones who have the good clothes, and I'm the one who gets like beaten with a shoe.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I
Oh,
love Swan Princess.
yeah.
Go
Swan
watch it.
Princess is actually goated.
Oops. Ah.
You
Were
did
we
it,
clicking
and
on
then you
something at the
didn't
same
do it.
time? No, I
I
thought.
haven't clicked on anything.
Uh,
This is all on
oh,
you.
I was the baby that was swapped at birth. That's why I'm a little bit tarded. That's true. I'm the least educated in my family.
They're like, just grab that baby. Just like grab it and bring it
They're
home.
like, oh, not that one. She's derpy, and I had like my like no bangs. I'm just like.
They're like, we don't have any other babies to give you. I'm sorry.
um,
Yeah.
Amanda
But
had to live
yes.
under the stairs like Harry Potter.
She's like, oh, I'm gonna cut a haircut. They're like, what did you do?
I didn't have to live under the stairs until I cut my hair. Then they like were ashamed of me. And they're like,
Yeah.
no. Oh,
She's
let me
like, nah, I
see.
look pretty.
Let me see. This
Oh.
this was another one of the ones where, to be fair, my sister's hair looks very derpy here, and my brother just looks very uncomfortable. But this was another one where he said the little Iraqi boy thing.
Goodness gracious.
Do you see this nonsense?
Your brother looks terrified.
To be fair,
Like
that's what he always looked like.
he's like, oh my god. He's like, yeah, you're not really helping your case that you guys didn't just kidnap him as a child.
I mean, like my sister, her hair is actually I don't know whose hair is worse here because hers has like the Wolverine going on, and mine's just all around bad at every angle. Like I'm at least
Well,
consistent.
the thing is, she's got like the hand mask on, so it looks
Right.
like she's going for like a superhero look. So the Wolverine hair makes sense.
It works.
There's a theme. Yeah.
She's
You look
going
like
for the wizard.
Yeah. Your brother looked like he was photoshopped into this picture later. Like, they just cut him out of another picture and just like put him in this one. Yeah.
But like, look at my hair. Like, I just can't even. It's like falling out on the sides, and it's like straight because at the time they were relaxing it, but it was poofy, so it wasn't like cute and straight. It was just like, that is an '80s headboard for sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
then
then
fall down and kill somebody.
Choco Hooligan says, puts baby in bag, proceeds to drop bag on ground at every opportunity and smash it against every surface. And I know you meant surface, but I'm gonna say durfus. Every durfus.
Every durfus.
So are you just telling me your autobiography? Is that what that was? You're like, I got dropped on every durfus.
Oh man.
I was about to say stop. I'm like, who am I saying stop to? Me.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, stop, don't share those anymore. And
I'm like, I can't not. Where is this picture though? It's like a picture of us at glamour shots. And my little brother looks even more photoshopped there. I hear somebody flushing in the background. Is that oh. Mike's face looks so judgy.
I had to mute myself, forgive me. All right, we're good. Yeah.
Where is
because I live in a bathroom, so that's what I'm streaming from right now. Is
Mike,
a bathroom.
Mike actually is the one who lives under the stairs by the
well,
toilet.
Somebody told me this was actually a toilet, this chair, and I still to this day think that was a great idea. It would have been kind of based to just be in a bathroom so I could just like go if I need to.
I love all the things that Mike calls based. Like this morning,
yeah,
right before the stream, I was like, "Hey, just so you know, I might have a nosebleed because like I've been blowing my nose a lot because I have allergies, and I just keep going like." Boop. And so he was like, "Based."
Yep. Yeah, I always think I think it's funny to just call the weirdest stuff based. I did it the other day with something with, and I was like, I don't know. Somebody was like, "Oh, geez, I got to do such and such," and I was like, "That's pretty based." And they're like, "How's that based?" I'm like, "I don't know. This sounds right."
See, you're the boy who cried based. Nobody's gonna believe
Yeah,
something's based when you say it too much.
yeah. They're like, "Is
Where
it really
is
based?"
where's this fucking picture? Okay, hold on.
While you're looking for this, I'm
Yes.
gonna pull up another news story that I found. This one is also a crime, but it's like once again one of these weird ones. There's been a lot of crimes in the last like month. Um,
There's
a
always
20
crimes, Mike. Check your privilege.
okay, weird crimes. Okay,
Okay.
a 29-year-old woman was accused of using false documents to enroll as a New Jersey high school student and attend some classes over a 4-day period. She did so because she was lonely and longed to return to her days with friends in school, her lawyer said. Um, apparently she I'm trying to figure out how she got caught. She's a South Korean citizen who came to the United States by herself when she was 16 to attend a private boarding school, the lawyer said. So lots of trauma there already. Um, so yeah, at 29, she was like, "Oh, I just miss high school so much." So she like she got the phone numbers of students who helped her find her way through the school and was like texting them and like talking to them even after they discovered that she wasn't a student. Um, and then she was barred from ever like entering school grounds again. But yeah, she pretended she was a high school student again and actually went there and went to classes.
That's actually kind of like I would do that. Not the texting other students part, but the I have dreams where I go back to high school. It's just a nicer time. Like I've maybe I was one of the few people that had a good time in high school.
Yeah,
But like
probably one of the only people.
it was because I was a theater kid, so I was already like, yeah, I'm weird. And like once you know you're weird, people can't really make fun of you because they can try, and you're like, yeah, I know. And then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, like it's not fun for them. So I never really got bullied once I found my people. And plus I think I
disgusting.
was funny and outgoing, so I think people didn't really have a problem with me, even though I looked like a
Mm.
little Iraqi boy.
Yeah,
Um,
they were just, or she see that's
or
her
they thought I was gonna
recounting
blow up
of
the
it,
school.
but everybody was terrified she was going to blow up the school. Yeah,
That's actually what it was.
yeah. There was
Uh,
a girl I went to school with back in the day, and I found out that she was Arabic. She was half Arabic, but she didn't look like it. She was like very pale skinned, redhead, like freckles and everything. And I found out she was Arabic and she was diabetic. And one time she was like pulling out her kit to like check her blood, and I was like, "Is that a bomb making kit?" She was like, "What the fuck? No, I'm diabetic." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Is that your cover so you can like blow up the school?" She's like, "Stop!" Like, yeah. So I used to pick on her all the time in high school about that because I was racist in high school. So
you were, I mean, were. I feel like you're still
yeah,
racist. You took
no,
on the name Slow Mo Mike after the very racist comic book character, and I can't believe you did
that's
that.
true. You took on the name DAYWALKER though.
Yeah, well, Wizard was the non-problematic one. He wasn't racist. He just liked to pee a lot. Also,
I'm not gonna touch that one.
theater kid equals attention-seeking psycho kid that people don't want to trigger, literally.
No.
I guess, yeah. Although I was very hard to offend, but it's because I again grew up watching like Chappelle Show, Boondocks, South Park. So like I was one of the theater kids that were actually like open-minded, which is what I thought theater people were. We were the artists. We were the ones who were like, yeah, live and let live. Sure, I'm open to
Yes.
everything, including. Well, I was gonna say, including like having people stick things in my hole at theater parties, but that never happened. I wish it did. I actually sometimes will like pretend that it did. The most thing we did at a theater party was we all skinny dipped in our friend's pool. But like we weren't those. I'm always watching these shows where they're like, oh yeah, band kids are so horny. Theater kids were always fucking. I was like, nah, most of the guys in my theater department were gay. There was not anything happening there.
Well,
Yeah, so I'm gonna pretend that I was a hoe in the theater department,
I
but
just like how
really,
you're like, yeah. I wish somebody had tried to stick something in my hole at these theater parties.
that's literally why that's why people do theater, right? To get to
Next day,
get.
you're like, what the fuck, bro? I went to these parties and nobody tried to jam anything up my butt. And you're
No,
like,
yeah, this is false advertising.
yeah.
Also, yes, I went to school in Germany in elementary school, Shield
Mm-hmm.
Wall, but just making sure I didn't miss much.
You're gonna
Also,
share this photo that you just have sitting
oh
there.
yeah, Found it. Look
That
how
is the
white.
most glamour shot photo. He does look like he's being held against his will.
Oh, he
Like he
is.
looks like he's trying to get escape.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
like you got his arm.
And then my dad's holding the, and he's just like, look, he's just like, help me. My white mommy had fruit snacks for my brothers McCaxlin and my sister Brayley are waiting for me. Amanda Miller's gonna come pick me up from school.
Oh
my white mom.
That's hilarious. He's like, I'm just trying to get away, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although look
They
how
permed my hair. Yeah.
No, that's his natural hair.
Oh, they made it like that so that he looked like a black child.
So really, his hair's just like Farrah Fawcett hair.
Yeah, it's all like straight and like dye his hair and perm it and it'll look like that. Yeah, that's actually really funny.
Your dad looks like a 1980s TV star. Yeah,
he does.
It's the stash.
Yep.
It's
like he looks like he should he looks like he should be a cop or something in like a procedural drama.
Well,
like,
he had the stash for a while and then he had a beard, but then he lost he didn't have the beard for the longest time. And I told him, I was like, the beard's gonna look really good. The beard's gonna look really good. And finally, like a couple years ago, he finally grew it back, and now he's that guy who has beard oils and is like always, and he's just like, it looks really good on him. But it's funny because now that he's gray, everybody thinks he looks like Dr. Phil. So like he did an ad. He was in an ad for his work. It was like a Facebook ad or something, and everybody was like, "Is that Dr. Phil? Yo, is that James Avery?" Like, it was just very funny that.
You mean Uncle Phil?
Oh, sorry, Dr. Phil.
I was like, Dr. Phil.
Uncle Phil. Sorry. Yeah,
is that the Black Dr. Phil?
The Black Dr. Phil? No, it was sorry, Uncle Phil. Thank you.
Yeah, Uncle Phil. That's actually kind of dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty decent comparison, and look how brown we were. Like compared to what I am now.
Goodness gracious. Look how brown I was as a child.
I'm just saying, look at me now and look at that.
Yeah.
I was like I look like I'm in blackface. I'm like 4 or 5 shades
This is
darker.
how you get canceled. People are going to be like, look at that. She wore blackface as a child because she was darker.
I mean, we lived in Florida, so we were always outside, but like I am like, damn, okay. There, it's clear that I'm like mixed with something. In real life, the number of times people go like, they assume that I'm white. Like I've had white people say things to me where I'm like, I think you don't realize I'm part brown.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Not a ton. Like I haven't really experienced that much like overt, I don't want to say racism even, just kind of like ignorance or whatever. Cause like for the most part, they see my hair, but I think my hair was back and it was blue at the time. And I was like doing this, I was pouring wine at this fancy French event. And so this woman was talking to me and we were talking about, how I liked Atlanta. And at one point we were talking about like, the men who like holler at you. And like, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really feel safe walking in these areas or whatever. Cause she said something like, oh yes, well, the black men think that they, that they run this city, or whatever, something like that. It was something like that. And I was like, they think they can run this city and do whatever they want or something like, it was something along those lines. And I went, oh, I mean, my dad's black and he's not really like that. Like trying to let her know, like, maybe not. I'm not like some secret ally or whatever.
Spills her wine. Oh
no, what she did was she kind of stopped, like a reboot for a second and goes, I'm sorry. The African American men think that they run this city. So she didn't change the part of the sentence that I had a problem with. She changed the part like she's like, okay, I'm sorry.
I won't use black anymore.
I won't use black. The African American men think that they run this city.
She's like shaking her wine. Yes, quite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually funny. So that reminded me of a story because I like to bring you stories from my time as a bouncer. I was chilling at the bar and like after 11 o'clock basically is when a lot of the black people come into the bar. Like before that, it's primarily like a bunch of like white like redneck guys, and they all like sing their like country music and stuff at the karaoke nights. And then after 11 o'clock, the entire like landscape of the bar changes. It's just how it is. And occasionally we'll just have weird people walk into the bar. I think I told you about the old guy that walked in and he like stood at the door and he goes, wow, it's like, looks a lot different around here than it used to. And I was like, okay. And then he just like walked past me and then he sat in the middle of the bar and watched everybody. He didn't get a drink. He just stared at everyone. And I was like, why are you like watching people? This is weird. Well, last weekend I was at the bar and it was very packed. It was very crowded and everything. So I'm like kind of keeping my eye on people. And this guy comes and stands next to me, and he's like white as white can be. He's got like fucking Coke bottle glasses on, and like he's wearing like plaid or whatever. And he goes, "So what do you know about this area?" And I was like, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, like, some areas, worse than other areas." And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's not like a huge city or anything, so you'd probably be good if you just stick to like going downtown and stuff. He goes, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Because I don't know, man, I went to Flint one time, and those colors over there, they are, yeah, pretty crazy, especially if you're wearing the wrong colors, you know?" And I was like, "Uh-huh. Okay, well, you have a good night, man." And I started like trying to walk away from him, and he like tried to follow me, and like he was trying to talk to me about like whether or not he was wearing the wrong colors in this area because of the colors in this area. And I was like, "My guy, stop talking to me now, because like I'm kind of tempted to just tell you to go home." But yeah, I was like, wow, man, he just went full mask off there, right?
I mean, the weird thing is though, it's again, like I've told you about the cat named Niglet thing, like where I'm just like,
Yeah, I get
it's like it's
probably
words.
wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't malicious, I guess, but like also, I just have some self awareness. Like at least a cat named Niglet, you're like, it's a cat.
Well, it's not the cat, it's the name. That guy was a
Yeah,
time traveler from the 1940s doing research to write the Wizard comic. He's like, I gotta go talk to a colored.
we gotta talk to a colored, and you seem the least dangerous of all of them because of your skin. Yeah,
um, but no, like I mean, for those of you who don't know that story about the cat, it's like basically, long story short, this guy was on the side of the road, like my sister and I were having a hard time with our car, and he was like, "Here, let me help you out." And it was like the back roads of like St. Augustine in Florida, and he helped us for like 4 hours. He worked on our car, and he wouldn't take our money. He's like, "No, it's good. I'm just helping you guys out. Like, don't worry about it." And like, we were having this really great conversation, and I'm thinking like, "Oh yeah, this is Martin Luther King's dream." Like this white redneck looking guy who everybody would assume is like a racist, and then us like two, vaguely brown girls, and like this is what America's supposed to be about. And then I saw a little black cat run by, a little kitten, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cute." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's Niglet." Like
yeah,
piglet with an N. And I was like, but at the same time, I wasn't suddenly like scared of him. I wasn't suddenly like, oh,
no,
he used a word that means he's a racist. I'm like, he probably was raised with that word, and it's like, I
yeah,
don't know. It just didn't. It was more funny to me than bothered me, because I knew that the intention behind it was not to dehumanize, black people. It was literally because he's like, oh, it's little and it's black, and this is a word that my family uses all the time.
yeah.
And maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I've met
It just feels a little less egregious than like somebody seeking you out in a bar and going like,
talking about the coloreds.
"Hey, yeah, I just want to know, am I wearing the wrong gang colors? Because I don't want to get shot by the colors in this area."
Can you
And
text
I'm
them?
like,
You guys know each other. Can you text
yeah.
them to check?
I was like, "Bro, please don't talk to me." So yeah, I just stayed away from him, and then like I watched him like fall into a wall a couple times, and then he just got up and left, and I was like, "Cool, yeah, yeah,
I saw a guy at an Irish pub fall. Well, I didn't see him, but the guy I was seeing fell, or he didn't fall. He saw him, and I was like, "What?" And apparently, this guy had been making animal noises all night. I don't know. He was like an older man. He was like, maybe like a 50s, 60s. Like he was like a dad, and he was there with his wife, and I guess his like 20-something-year-old daughter. And they kept being like, "You're embarrassing us. You're being obnoxious." And he's just like, "Ugh." Just like at the bar for whatever reason, and everybody's kind of like the bartender's trying to like fake laugh,
oh
or I can't
god,
remember what
that's
the noise was. I
amazing."
think it was like a kind of a grunting thing, and we're like, ugh. And then later, I guess he tripped and hit his head on the fireplace. It was like,
Oh god,
yeah,
I just had to drag him out.
yeah.
Yeah, see, we've never had
They rolled
anybody
him out
like,
of the bar.
yeah, we've never had anybody seriously get hurt, but yeah, we have like just about like every other weekend somebody falls. There's like one chick that got like absolutely plastered, and she was like hitting on everyone in the bar, and we're like, "Dude, chill." And then she was sitting in her chair like completely innocuous, and then she just like spun and fell and like just went like, yeah, back first to the floor. She goes, "Well, I'm done," and she gets up, fucking just walks out of the bar. Yeah, she was this. I was like, I wish everybody was this aware. Like, okay, I'm drunk. I gotta go. But yeah, we've had. I mean, yeah. The worst part is when people fall asleep and you gotta ask them like, you're like, dude, just go home because you're obviously like sleepy. But I'm like, I hate being woken up and they're
Me
not
too.
doing anything, but they're also wasting space when they do that. There's like, yeah,
I had that happen because I don't really drink much and I don't really party. So like when I would go to a bar, I'm like, it was after work. I was tired and like my friends wanted to stay out and they were my ride and I kept falling asleep. And the bartender's like, "You can't do that here." And I'm like, "Don't yell at me.
I'm
I'm just,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sleepy. I'm not drunk."
I'm just a little bit tired. She's like, yeah, don't come after me.
I should have done that. I should be like, "I'm a little tired. I'm a little bit tired."
That's actually really funny. Just watch your buddies are like, yeah, and they're like drinking and having a good time, and you're like in the back corner, like,
Yeah, I'm like the mom who's like, I'm there to supervise, but
yeah, but I can't stay awake.
I mean, I'll drink, but it's not like I don't like getting drunk because I don't like throwing up and I don't like feeling out of control, especially because usually when you're in public, you're like, I don't know I like being aware of my faculties because like if you're out of control, somebody could grab your purse, somebody could put something in your drink. Like you have to be more vigilant. You can't just be like, I'm slappy and just trust that everybody around you is going to take care of you. Like that's a very stupid thing to do.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what everybody in our bar does.
What, just kind of
They
gets
just
sloppy?
get sloppy. Yeah, I mean it just depends. Yeah, we have one guy that like he's like pretty cool, but he gets really really high before he comes to the bar, and then he gets drunk at the bar, and then he'll just eventually just like walk up to you and he'll just stand there next to you with his eyes shut. He just chills. We're like, all right, cool, man. Yeah. So yeah.
The oh, what was I gonna say? So wait, you're saying he like just walks up to you and is just like,
Yeah, he'll just like walk up next to you and he'll just like cross his arms and he'll just go. And he won't say anything with his eyes shut. He'll just stand there.
is that
Like,
his way of being able to sleep at the bar? But because he's standing, you're like, well,
probably.
technically he's awake.
Probably. Yeah, he's one of the regulars, so he could kind of get away with whatever. But that was another thing too. Like we had on St. Patty's Day, we hit capacity twice, so we had to lock the doors. And like the worst part about it is because he knows he's a regular, he waited and there was like a line of people at the door, and he just walked up to the door and threw it open and walked in, like because I wouldn't normally like I'm not gonna stop him because he's a like he comes in all the time. But yeah, I was like, bro, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing?
Have more chill, please.
Yeah, because he likes to like instigate shit, because he knows like nobody's gonna tell him he can't come into the bar. But it was just funny to me, like watching, like yeah, he'll just be like chilling and stuff like that, and he'll just stand there with his eyes shut, just like waiting.
Have you ever tried this one?
No,
Wake up, you wasted
that.
space.
I'll be like, bro, you can't sleep in here. You got to go home. And they'll be like, oh
just
man.
throw in extra stuff like you can't sleep here. You're a disappointment to your parents.
Yeah. I had one where I was on a weird kick. I just decided to like be a butt, and I was like, people would like talk to me, and I was like, do you even know who I am? And they're like, what? And like the only person that got it was the lady I work with, because she knows I do like internet stuff. And then I was like, do they even know who I am? I have 5,000 followers on Twitter. Like, she's like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, just disgusting. Like they've touched me. And yeah, but
Wait, they where did they touch you, Mike?
they like to shake hands. That's a weird thing. Okay, this is the thing. I'm not going to get off on a rant about this, and it's specifically. It's not a race thing, but it kind of feels like a race thing, because it's usually only white guys that do this to me. They walk into a bar and the first thing they want to do is shake your hand. I'm like, I don't want to touch you. I don't know where you've been. I don't know what you've been doing. And then when I want to leave the bar,
I don't know who
like,
you've been oppressing.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're like trying to leave the bar, and they're like, thank you for your service tonight, sir. I'm like, I don't want to shake your hand. There's been times where like I did not offer my hand when they put their hand out, and they just stand there waiting, and I'm like, oh, dude, come on, like. Just go. I'm like, thanks, appreciate it, man. And they're just like, yeah, thank you.
If you were a baller, you would just look at their hand and walk away.
Yeah, but I have to man the door, so like I can't just like leave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm like, I don't know why you guys like some people feel the need to like touch people, and I'm like, I don't want to be touched by you. I don't know where you've been. I don't know.
I don't know why that's so funny to be like, I don't know where you've been.
Yeah, it's
doing White Devil.
I don't know. Like, you've been drinking and shit. You could have been like touching your dirty dick in the bathroom, and I don't know. Like, You pissed on your hands, and I don't know that you pissed on your hands because you don't know you pissed on your hands. That's I don't know. When you're at a bar, just don't shake people's hands unless you know them and you like just walked in or something. Or
I mean,
maybe this
just
was
because
a
you
high
know them
class
doesn't mean that
bar.
they don't pee on their own hands
That's
too.
true. That's true. But maybe you get like a kind of like a vibe. Like, are you like a hand pisser? You know?
I mean, that could be their kink. Like they might be. I'm just saying, you never know who's a hand pisser. You never know who's a day whizzer
Yeah, that's
or a
true.
night whizzer, bar
Is that
whizzer,
your
hand whizzer.
kink, Amanda? Should you just pee on your hands?
Yes. And then I go and sign autographs and take pictures with people. And I'm just like putting my hands on people's backs, like,
You're at a con, just piss all over
they're like, she was really nice. Smelled a lot like urine.
yeah. Like, oh man, you got a wet spot on my thing. No, that's part of my signature. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's part of the. I'm like, at a con, I feel like you'd be the most likely to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, like
Well, cause
everything smells there, so you're like, it's not me.
that's what I've heard. I have not been to a con before, but I've heard that they smell. So I don't know.
I mean, I actually think it's not as bad as it used to be. He was saying that. I think he was saying it in regards to the handshaking thing.
Yeah, but then I just thought this was funny. That
You're causing an existential crisis for him.
Yeah, because
Like,
now you
I
got to
don't
think
know.
about it. Yeah. I do have a black light that I could run people's hands under, but I'm not going to do that. Anyways, but yeah, so you're saying it's better than it used to be?
Yeah, like at cons, and I wouldn't say I get creepy dudes, but there were times where you'd get somebody where you're like, oh, this person smells really bad. And so what, I don't know if this is actually true. I've heard that a lot of those girls who do like poses with, like they tend to be the girls who like accompany the cars or they're there with the signs. Like they're just like the hot girls that get hired just because they're hot.
Mm-hmm.
When they take pictures with people, the guys tend to be taller than them. So what I've heard, and I don't know if this is actually true, but I've heard that the girls will put deodorant on their shoulder to like either prevent the smell from getting off on them or to like maybe kind of transmit some to them. So like when they're like, oh my gosh, and the guy's got his armpit on her shoulder kind of thing. I don't know though. I don't really smell that many people anymore. So I don't know if maybe like the joke has gone around long enough that people that weebs got the message to shower, or maybe my sense of smell is dying as I hurtle ever closer to death.
Her body's just
shutting down.
She's like, oh my god, we can't do it anymore. She's just, wow.
But
yeah, I mean, my sister was talking about the other day. She was saying that, but she said that one of the cons that she went to, which was an anime convention, she said that like one of the main rules, they sent out like newsletters and stuff, and one of their top rules, it was like right at the top of the page, they're like, shower before you come to the event, and they're like, and do not come barefoot. They're like, stop walking around barefoot. And my sister was telling me that one lady showed up and she literally glued like pieces of like paper to the bottom of her feet just so that she had something on her feet. Like, yeah, like straight up like pieces of paper. Like it was lined paper.
why?
I don't know, because apparently because they were like, you have to have some kind of thing on the bottom of your feet. So
Well,
she decided to.
Why would you want to be not footless, shoeless at a con? Like people drop shit on the floor, they spill shit. Like I
don't know, but that's what my sister was saying, was that she said, hey, chick showed up when she had like pieces of paper glued to the bottom of her feet.
And they let her in? That passed as a shoe?
It passed because it counted as, because what they originally said was you had to have something covering the bottom of your feet.
So she was like,
so that was like
right.
her loop. Yeah, that was like, okay, well, I still get to be barefoot though. And you're like, but why?
You know what I like is that in history, people don't change. Like, yeah, there's like history that's like, wow, this date there was this battle and this transaction and this document was signed. But like if you read a lot more of history, like you get a lot of the personal stories and like the more of the people, you get more of a glimpse of what people were like. And it's just great that like even 300 years ago, people were still just as petty. So in Louisiana, in New Orleans. So my dad's from Louisiana, so like I love like Louisiana history and New Orleans stuff and Creole culture and stuff. And I keep saying and stuff, which is funny that I have a show called Ghosts and Stuff, and like now that's not creative. That was just how I
accidentally typed it afterwards.
I'm just like, it's about ghosts and stuff. Like, but yeah, so basically they had a rule because apparently like the mixed race women were like really pretty back then, and they were like, got the white women got mad and they were like, yo, they keep trying to like, our husbands like want them more than us, we don't want them to steal them. So they they made a law, like they went to they petitioned, I don't know if it's the governor or the mayor or whatever, but I guess they petitioned the mayor to say, can you do something about this? So they made a law that called a Tignon law. Where a Tignon is like that kind of Erica Badu like rap thing, and they basically wanted to make them look like mammies, where they were like, oh, wrap your, if your hair's not all curly and beautiful and whatever, then like you can't be as cute. So then, every person of color or woman of color had to wear those things. But then the women were just like, fine, okay. So that, like you just said, we had to cover our heads. You didn't say like, not to draw attention. So that's when they started doing like silk and satin and like big feathers, like peacock feathers, pearls, like gold, like
Ooh.
they were like, and it made them even more like stunning looking. So it's just kind of funny to me, like when you see like moments in history where it's like people are still just as petty. They're like, you didn't specify.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. Wow,
So
that's actually really cool. It's funny because that's how it is with like in the black church and stuff too. Is
the bigger the
they
hat, the
talk
closer
about
to God.
well yeah because women were supposed to wear like that's I don't know in the well it's in the New Testament but it was like a Jewish thing, but yeah, women were supposed to wear head coverings because like long hair was like considered like almost like a sexual like
Like a
thing.
Jezebel thing.
Well, it was considered like a sexual thing, like, oh, like, wow, you have really long hair, that's very attractive. So women had to keep their heads covered. And then for men, because men weren't supposed to have long hair back then, it was actually like shameful to have their heads covered. So men couldn't wear hats and women were encouraged to wear like hats or wear things over their heads. So in the black church, what ladies started doing was wearing like, yeah, these very ornate hats. And then yeah, they would just like get like really really like crazy with them. Yeah, they have like yeah these big feathers and stuff. So you're at church and you're supposed to be wearing a hat to like cover your hair, not draw attention to yourself by wearing like these giant hats with like gems and jewels all over them. And yeah, I was like, wow. I mean,
I need to pull up some pictures of this because, like, I don't know if people haven't been to a black church, they don't know. I mean, it's funny.
yes,
Oh, so I typed black church hat and it just showed a bunch of hats that look like mine. Hold on, black lady church hat.
I have another story about people being
Oh, here we
petty.
go.
So
Here we go. Shit like this. Uh. So I don't say anything now. Now I just sing it.
yeah, we're really really proud of you.
Yeah. Well, it's basically essentially the same thing. Hold on. That's an ad. Go away. So
Yeah,
like, do you see like shit like
delicately detailed church hat. Yeah.
$159.99?
Hmm.
Look at some of
Yep.
the. I don't. Will it open if I, or do I have to open it each time? Like, look at this. Hold on. Does it?
There
Okay,
you
it does. Okay. Why did it? Uh-oh. We're really sorry, but the product you're looking for is no longer available.
go.
Yeah, because it clearly sold out. Because that was a banger. Let's see.
Wow.
Like these are
Yeah.
170.
Flair for style church hats. That's crazy.
Look at this. Is like, oh man, all the ones I want, like the gold ridiculous ones, are like not available.
Yeah.
I guess black church ladies have good taste. What is this? I
Yeah.
mean, that one feels kind of like just like a southern hat where they're like, I drink sweet tea. But look at the like
I've
the
seen.
this.
Oh yeah, I've seen women wear hats like that at like church when I was younger. Yeah.
Oh, that whole outfit is something. Hold on.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's
You gotta wear your Sunday best. You know.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially yours. Wig brands, hair pieces. Ooh, do they have like toupees and shit? Oh, these are full like productions. Look at these outfits. Oh god damn it. Everything gold. Never
Yeah,
never
because they sell out of them. They're like, no, we don't. Yeah, everybody's like, dang it, look at that outfit. I'm buying that one. That's
like
crazy. Yeah.
like the whole point of it was cover your head so you're not like, and then these people are like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cover the shit out of my
I'm
head."
here at church.
Look at her looking
Yeah.
like a pirate, like a bougie pirate.
Yeah. She's even got the little cape on the back.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And then when she wants to be casual, when she doesn't want to be an attention seeking hoe,
Yeah.
a church hoe, not a regular hoe. She's attention seeking Jezebel.
That's amazing. Um, yeah, I mean, but I just think that's funny. But yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, hearing people be petty in history is actually really funny, and it reminded me of this story. And you probably heard this one before because you study a lot of history.
Mm.
But so there was a French pharmacist who basically he was captured by Prussians back in the day. It's like 1754, yeah, or something like that. Anyways, he got captured and he was forced to eat potatoes in prison. And he was like, "Wow, I actually like kind of like these potatoes and they actually had like a good effect on me eating them. So I should bring them back with me and we should start eating like more people eating potatoes because it would be a good source to make for people that are starving in France." And so he brings them to France and the French were like, "Ew, potatoes? Fucking gross." And he did like all of these publicity stunts and all these different things and like try to do all this campaigning to teach people, hey, these are good for you. They're gonna help you not starve. And the freaking French people were like, get fucked. We're not eating these stupid fucking potatoes. You can go die. So he came up with an idea. He went to King Louis the 14th, and said, hey, if you can, I need a large plot of land, and I need you to give me personal guards for this land. What he did was he planted a ton of potatoes on this land and then had guards going, like heavily armed guards, like patrolling, but he told them to be shitty at their jobs and like leave gaps in the fence and things like that. And sure enough, people were like, what's in there? And they just started sneaking in there and stealing potatoes. And then eventually like potatoes caught on like wildfire because they're like, we've been stealing these potatoes because they don't want us to have them anymore. And like they're guarding them and shit. And that's actually how like potatoes got introduced into France.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, they were the guards were instructed to take bribes no matter how large or small, from bandits. So bandits would show up and like steal like heist a crap ton of like fucking potatoes, thinking that they're like, aha, we're sticking it to the king, and then they like run off into the night and stuff, and they're like, good, because we really need you to eat these. Yep.
Also, sorry, I was like startled at the beginning of the story because I heard a noise and I hadn't heard it before. Apparently, we got our
Oh.
first Streamlabs super chat. I guess not super chat, but Streamlabs donation.
Excuse me. That's awesome.
From
Congratulations.
Z-Man 92. I'm assuming, is that Zechariah maybe? Or is it somebody else who's lurking that I haven't seen? He said he tipped $10. Thank you very much. And he said, love the show. And what I mean, Mike. So
Thank you so much.
you're like, thanks, Les.
He's
No.
put himself on the map there forever. Thank you so much. It's awesome. Look at that.
Yay!
Moving up in the world.
Got our first, yeah, because I'm like, so Animane is helping me kind of like with the analytics and whatnot of the channel and kind of helping me stay on top of things. And he was noticing, he's like, hey, your watch time's going down. Like, so apparently it only lasts for a year. I thought it was general, like overall, the 4K was like the overall watch time. So basically, you need 4,000. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, you need 4,000 watch hours to be able to get monetized, and you can't count anything that's copyrighted, anything that was, I think it's copyrighted and some other stuff. There's that doesn't count. Anything that's blocked, obviously. And then if you privatize, if you make anything private or unlisted, that doesn't count either. But then we started noticing the hours were falling off because we were like 70 hours away from the 4,000. And now it's just because, I guess, as we go each week. Yeah. Wow. So we'll see.
Yeah. I like how, yeah, it took this long, though. I've been talking about getting Streamlabs for pretty much since we started this stream.
Listen, and it actually literally only took me like 10 minutes, but I was just, I get overwhelmed by the idea of a task. I'm like, oh man, this is going to take a while. I'm going to need my tax paperwork. I don't know all this.
What do I got to do? I'm like, it's really, really, really easy. And she was like, no, I can't do it.
I'm an artist. I don't know how to do things.
I'd rather spend the time creating fake AI boyfriends and murdering them than setting up a Streamlabs.
I didn't murder him. He offed himself.
You absolutely murdered him.
No.
Yeah, you absolutely killed him.
I did nothing of the sort, and you can talk to my lawyer.
No. Do you actually have a lawyer?
No.
I didn't think so.
I probably should if I'm going to keep making some of the sketches that I've planned.
Yeah. Yeah, you really, yeah, that would be probably a good idea.
It's like,
Because,
oops.
yeah, she's like, oh, what do I do about this? And your lawyer goes, did you, do you actually put that on the internet? And yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna get back to you to get an email saying that they no longer work with you anymore. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awful? Because like the thing is, I don't think my stuff might be edgy at times, but it's just because I'm like willing to make a joke that everybody else is thinking. It doesn't mean I'm like actually like hardcore. Like I'm actually pretty
Yeah.
tame. But I don't know, it's funny. Like people are like, I can't believe you put a Klansman in your sketch. I'm like, I'm making a point about like something that's very valid. Like who cares if there's a
Yeah.
Klansman in it? Just like who cares about if there's a cat, the cat named Niglet, like it's like we get hung up on the trappings of things and we're not actually looking at what it means and what the person's trying to say. So I guess
Yes.
that's my. Oh, you said something
Yes.
before stream about that actually. You said you had a story or something about there's like a news story that you wanted to talk about language, or like you said somebody got in
Oh yeah,
trouble
yeah.
for.
Well, it was something I was gonna bring up, but actually, first I was gonna show you this because I already sent you this. But this is actually a clip from. I'm not gonna play it. I'll
Yeah.
just repeat what he says because obviously we can't. But this is actually from Dave Chappelle. Um, and he does a podcast now called The Midnight Miracle, and he does it with a couple different rappers and stuff like that. And one of them is Yasin Bey, who used to be Mos Def, who actually had to deal with some crazy stuff as far as like, at one point got like basically, I think the United States told him he wasn't welcome back in the United States, so he got like stuck in another country for a while
Mhm.
because he wasn't allowed to like come back to the United States and stuff. But I thought this was interesting, and then yeah, I'll tell you what Dave said, and then we'll kind of start this conversation. But he said, "I have a belief that they are trying to take nuance out of speech." And we've talked about that a lot. He said, in American culture, that they're making people speak as if they're either on the right or the left. Everything seems absolute. And any opinion I respect is way more nuanced than these binary choices they keep putting in front of us. And I think that that's interesting because, we obviously talked about that. And you did a sketch literally called The Death of Old Man or Death of
Yeah,
Nuance.
yeah, Francie Clue and the Death of Nuance.
Yeah, and stuff. And it's an interesting, it's a topical thing consistently because it isn't just it's not a right or a left thing. It's a cultural thing that we're experiencing right now where like nuance and subtlety is slowly dying out. We see it dying out in arts all the time, even though that's the place. And Dave says that later in that conversation. He goes, I believe art is like one of the last places where that can be experienced. But we even see that in movies where, you see things overly explained, so you can't have like a movie will, instead of leaving a vague answer or a vague idea of what the answer to something is, they tell you what the answer is. Or
Hmm.
we see people get outraged. Like a good example is like the ending of Inception. People were kind of outraged at the ending because it didn't really tell you whether like Leonardo DiCaprio's character was awake or not. So you had all these people like fighting with each other about whether he was or whether he wasn't, and the conversation about whether he is or isn't is good. But the fact that people were really upset about it, and that like you had different actors and things like that, and producers speaking like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely awake because of," or he's still asleep because of this. It's like there is no answer, and that's
Right.
the answer.
That's the
But
point.
yes, go ahead.
Like art, I always say art is supposed to raise questions, not answer them. Because if
Yes.
you have art that answers the questions, then that's just propaganda. Because it's telling you how to think, it's leading you to water, which is why I always said that, because I grew up in the church and I always said, like, a lot of like, most Christian movies were not good. And it's
No.
because they feel like they have to put in a message and take you to a solution as opposed to just raising it and helping you, find it yourself because they don't trust you to go, oh, okay, yeah, here's the thing, because they need you to go, and the answer is Jesus. So I wrote like a paper on it back when I was in seminary, and it
Yeah.
was kind of explaining why a lot of times secular art tends to be better than specifically religious art, and it's because of that. Like you have to have an answer for your audience. But then I would say now, like woke. I feel like it's lame because like now the boomers have it, but like woke art is very similar. Like art that has, let's say, I would say activist art maybe. Like art where you're trying to really be heavy handed about what you want the audience to take away it's the same thing. It's different sides of the same coin. It's still kind of trying to be like, yeah, here's a problem, and the answer is colonialist white supremacy, whatever. It's just like, let me come to that conclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you, like you said, that it feels like it feels more recent than anything. Like in recent, like the last like 10, 15 years. Um, One of the things I thought was interesting, because we've both know her and we've talked to her before. One of the only people that I've heard use the word woke, because I actually really don't like that term, because like you said, the boomers got a hold of it and then like everything's woke. Which this is like a total tangent, but that's okay. So me and my buddy did a review of John Wick 3 or John Wick 4 that just came out, and we gave it rave reviews, and surprisingly most of the comments were really positive. Typically you do like a review and people are like, what the fuck, who are you guys, you haven't done anything but anything or whatever. And we are like, no, the movie's awesome, blah 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 blah. And we had somebody in the comments say, hey, what you guys don't realize, and the reason John Wick is so popular is because it's a woke franchise. And here's why, because it's cleverly hidden. It's because Keanu Reeves is a minority, because I think he's like half Asian or something. Like
yeah,
that.
half Hawaiian or something.
Yeah,
maybe,
half
or...
Hawaiian or something like that. And so like they're like, he's a minority, but you guys didn't realize that. And he's like, if it was Brad Pitt, the franchise would have never been made, and nobody would ever have liked it. And I'm like, that to me is the epitome of chasing, like not being anti-woke, is that you start to see it everywhere, or what your perception of it is. So you think the only reason a franchise or a movie or any piece of art is good is because it has minorities in it, ignoring the fact that, like, Ian McShane is white.
Who's that?
Like they're he's an actor. You'll know who he is once you see him and stuff. But like, so the idea of like chasing or being anti-woke can be really dangerous, because then you start to see it in everything, and then you miss subtlety and you'll miss nuance of, hey, this is a really good movie that maybe has elements of something that would be used by activists but isn't a piece of activism. Like there's a show that came out recently called Arcane, and it's like an animated show, but it's based off of the video game League of Legends, and the main character is a side shaved pink haired lesbian who punches people with her fists, because that's what her character is in the game. But the show itself is extremely well written. Had one of the best endings to like a finale I've ever, or like to a series or a season that I've ever seen. And there's a lot of subtlety and a lot of nuance to the characters, and it's not about their sexuality, and it's not about any of that. It's just who these characters are, like in their writing. And I was like, wow, that's really awesome. But if you're only seeing it from the lens of what's woke or not, you'll miss good things and you'll miss good art, because you assume that everything that has a black lead character must be woke, and that's not how that works. And so one of the people that I've actually heard use it correctly, at least to me, is our friend Carrie Smith, because she came from a time where they actually used to use woke to describe themselves. Like when she was like working in the industry, they were like, no, we used to call ourselves woke. We're like, we're so woke. We're aware of like societal issues. She actually knew it when it was a term of endearment, and it wasn't a term used as like a weaponized like term against people and against things.
Well, it used to be a term in the black community.
Yeah.
So when the white people took it, that they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to take this and we're going to make it something, like they gentrified the word. Yes. But like originally it just meant like, God, Ruby, we've established this. I'm trying to get tips since I set up my Streamlab.
Yeah.
Let me live.
Trying to whore myself out on stream. Shut up about it. Anyway, sorry, please continue. Yeah.
But no, it used to just be like when black people would say stay woke, it was just like pay attention. Like don't sleep on like what's happening out there, like with the government or with like anything, with the popo. Like, it was kind of, to me, like I guess the original red pill, where it's like you're awake to things and you're like not just like, oh well, the government said this, blah, blah, blah. Like, so then it became this, like, when I say woke, I mean more like the victim narratives. I mean more like the oppression Olympics. This, oh, everything needs to be labeled, everything needs to be problematic, everything needs to be framed in the everything needs to have, like somebody said earlier, like the struggle session thing. Like it just feels very like that, very Marxist, like the whole,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, the class warfare, which there is class warfare, but it's more like it's not racial. It's more like middle class, and middle class whites and blacks will have more in common than poor whites and blacks. Like it's more
Yeah.
socioeconomic than it should be racial. I guess that's what it is. Wokeness to me is like defining people's struggles based on like arbitrary things, like things you're born with, like
Yes.
your skin color or your sex or whatever. And like, yeah, there are certain things that maybe disproportionately affect different groups, but it's not as widespread as I feel like woke people want you to believe. Oh, that's
Yeah.
what it is. I think it was either might have been James Lindsay, or it might have been Carrie who said wokeness is it's not asking if there was racism, it's asking where it was. Like it basically is implying that everything is going to have some sort of misogyny or racism underpinning it, and your
Hmm.
job is to find out the where it was, not whether it was there, because it's implied that it was always there. And like
Yeah.
that's I just can't stand that. I
Yeah.
cannot.
Well, 100%. And it's like there's like a term I heard one time in the Machiavelli's The Prince. It's like a prince should be slow to act lest he becomes afraid of his own shadow. And I
Mhm.
always liked that term because, or I like that phrase, and it stuck with me because the context is, if you see a monster under every log and every like stone, then that's all you ever do is walk around looking for monsters and find,
Right.
and sometimes even finding them because that's what you're perceiving is happening, instead of going, hey, if something is problematic, then that should be talked about. But most things that are problematic aren't hidden, and they're not subtle. They're
I mean,
usually like it's usually quite obvious when something is like, oh, this is an issue. Go ahead.
I would say yes now that we have the internet.
Hmm.
Beforehand, when we didn't have the internet, you definitely had people in, as much as people hate the whole Me Too thing. Hollywood had a big problem for a long time because
Yeah.
there was no internet. People couldn't just say, "Hey, this thing happened to me," or "Hey, this producer, put something in my drink," or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just you could tell your friends, but like your agent would be like, "Shut up about it." I mean, mine wouldn't
Yes.
because nothing happened to me, but like like
But
so
yes, I got what. Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
internet helped, I think, make it so that things can't stay hidden as much. So like, the James Corden thing where everybody's like, "Oh, hey, James Corden's actually an asshole." Like
Yeah.
that probably wouldn't have come out. Or
No.
even like the police stuff. As much as I've because like I've never been ACAB because I'm like, police have helped me before. I've seen them save people's lives before. So there are some
Yeah.
good people out there. But I think there's a problem with the institution. Like any sort of institution where you have power over someone's life should get more scrutiny. So when it comes to like even the cop stuff, I'm not opposed to people having conversations about that, but they make it specifically like, oh, it's just disproportionately affecting, you know,
Black
this
people.
race or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like in the past, absolutely. Hell, in the past, like in the 50s, a lot of the cops were the ones who were either turning a blind eye to the lynchings and let them happen, or were part of it. So like
Yeah.
that is definitely something that's maybe in that history, but there's a lot of white people get killed by cops. More white people than black people get killed by the police each year.
No.
So it's
And
like we should
when
talk
you
about
do
that.
have, yeah, or when you have a narrative where you see a guy get abused by police officers and all the police officers are black, and
And
then you write an
call it white
article saying,
supremacy.
yeah, you say it's still a white supremacy problem, and it's like, no, it's it's a systemic problem. Yeah, because if you make it all about race wars and rights and lefts, then nobody stops to look at the system itself and go, how can we fix the system? Because that's the problem. Because
Mhm.
like our buddy Ripa has said this before. Like the same police that you like will praise for getting rid of criminals and something like that are the same ones that'll come bust you upside your head when the government decides that you owe something to them.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, that's why sometimes the conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this already feel that way, but that's why sometimes the conversation about the way our government operates is why it is. Like people say like taxation is theft. Well, the conversation is because if you don't pay your taxes, it's not like, hey, you didn't pay your taxes, that's bad. It's like, hey, you didn't pay your taxes, so now the police are going to show up at your house and by threat of violence take you to jail, because that's the only way that the police typically have power, you either respect the laws and you go, hey, I'm going to respect the laws because I care about people. I'm trying to protect people and be safe. It's like how people actually operate. Like if police went away tomorrow, there'd be murders all the time. It's like, no, not really. Most people don't walk around going, I want to murder other people.
Right.
And people that are murderers, like, will find that, guess what? It's not that easy to just go around murdering people, even if the cops don't exist, because there are other people that will stop you. But the reality is, like, you, in some cases, have to respond to, like, authority and authority figures because there is a threat of violence. So, there's a weird, like, catch-22 there sometimes, in that, yes, like, they do have to have the ability to use force to protect people and to enforce certain laws, but then that force can be used on you unjustly as well. And so, like you said, there needs to be, like, a lot of scrutiny behind that and a lot of, like, accountability, and there's not, because the system protects itself,
Right. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying when it comes to that stuff. Because, like, I don't want to live in a society without some sort of person. Like, I don't want to live in a society without somebody I could call when something goes wrong. Because I'm not a
Yes.
confrontational person. Other people might be fine being like blah 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 blah, but, like, that's not me. I'd rather be like, hey, my neighbor's stalking me. Can you come and remove him, please? Like, I don't want to.
Yes.
Because also, let's say I do, let's say I fucking deck him or whatever, like, get him out of there. I have to live next to this person. Now he might stalk me more. Now he might retaliate. Like, I like that there's a place that I can send him if he does crazy stuff.
Yeah.
He go to jail,
Yep.
straight to
Yeah.
jail.
100%. And that's the thing about it. Like you said, there are cops that are good. I've met good cops. I know people that are cops that I went to school with that are good dudes, and I know they're good dudes. One of the guys I used to work with at the bar, he's now going to be a police officer. He's a really good dude. I know he's going to be a good cop. Then there are also bad cops,
Oh, absolutely. Like, the people it attracts are the kinds who are like, oh yeah, you know why I pulled you over? Like, just because my penis is small and I feel insecure about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a ticket for my small wee wee.
Yeah, how dare you be? Yeah, and like I've had bad pull stops where I've gotten pulled over and very much been treated like garbage, and
Mhm.
it may have been because of my race, it may not have been, I don't know, but like I've also had times where, like, I've been pulled over and things didn't go well. Like the day that my father-in-law died, I was driving to the hospital because my wife and her family were all there, and I get pulled over because one of my taillights was out. And the cop goes, yeah, so where are you going tonight? I'm like, I'm actually trying to get to my father-in-law because he's at the hospital dying right now. And he was like, oh, and he, like, literally, like, ran to his car, got my stuff out of the car and handed it back to me. He's like, I'm really sorry, your taillight's out. If you could just get that fixed as soon as possible. I'm like, thank
That's
you.
nice.
Yeah, it was very nice. Like, he was respectful, and he was like, hey, this situation sucks. Really sorry to hear that happened. I've also had it where, like, I got pulled over one time for something like that too. It was like, I don't know, a busted signal or something like that. I don't know. And I remember the cop came up to me and he goes, listen, he goes, just to let you know, I do not give tickets for things that are not, like, safety violations, but I'm just letting you know another cop may do that. So I'm giving you a let you know, hey, can you go get the signal light fixed? Hope you have a good day. Take it easy. And he was, like, super cool. He even, like, had a lot of distance away from the vehicle, like, not like, oh, what's gonna happen, but, like, I'm not threatening you.
He didn't want to touch a black man. He was
And he's
like,
like, whoa, look
ugh.
at that fro. He's like, ugh.
He might have a weapon in there.
Yeah, he's like, he might try to, yeah. But, like, it's, so there's differences, and that's, once again, subtlety
That
and
nuance.
nuance and being aware of things, but also the system needs to be able to be accountable to things when it oversteps its power and oversteps its authority, and it's not, because it usually protects itself. It's usually
I heard
taxpayer dollars that go towards, like, protecting police when they get sued.
Well,
So,
I
but,
heard I heard somebody have a good suggestion where they were I don't know how it would work necessarily, but they said something about how cops would, like, um whatchamacallit, it was like a cop would have to have their own insurance, basically.
mhm.
So instead of, like, the government, like, if a cop has, like, a wrongful death kind of thing where they shoot somebody, then it's our taxpayer money that goes to reimburse the family, or, like, that it's not as much on the department as it is on us. Versus somebody was saying, I don't remember exactly how it would work, but it sounded like a smart idea where it was something about, like, the police would have to, I don't know if it was, or the department maybe. I can't
Mhm.
remember what it was, but somebody, either the cop or the department he's in, would have to pay into the insurance thing so that when and if that happened, it would hurt them, and it would give them more of an accountability to like fire that person or investigate that person,
Yeah.
and to make sure it doesn't happen again. So I thought that
100%.
was kind of a good kind of compromise.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I think that that's a good point. Um, and I know this is like segueing back kind of into the conversation, but this is something I want to talk about specifically because it was a topic that kind of came and went, and not a lot of internet folk talked about it, at least on our side of things. And so there was an interesting conversation recently on this guy. His name is Anthony Padilla. So he used to be part of a channel called Smosh.
Oh,
And
yeah. Okay.
yeah. So he started like his own channel. He just started doing interviews, and I think he does some really cool interviews. But one of the interviews he had recently was with iDubbbz, who, a lot of people knew who iDubbbz was. He was part of the Cancer Crew. The Cancer Crew consisted mainly of Filthy Frank, H3H3, iDubbbz, and then Max Mofo. And there was
Why
like
are they called the Cancer Crew?
Just because they're like cancer, like they're just like cancer edgelords on the internet.
Okay.
Like, yeah, so they're called the Cancer Crew. And like a lot of people have seen like H3H3 has this podcast, and he's not the same guy that he was, or at least that he was portraying when he was making videos on the internet doing like internet commentary. That's how he got big, that's how he got popular. He never was like he never took himself seriously. He never was like the butt of a joke, but he always was like, I can make fun of myself, and it's funny and stuff. And now he's a little bit more self-serious. He gets into a lot of politics on his podcast and stuff like that. And a lot of his audience has felt like he's a changed person. He's not the same kind of wholesome, him and his wife are not the same wholesome Jewish couple they were when they first started on the internet. And one of the interviews that Padilla was giving to iDubbbz talked about his audience and how like he's had some really toxic, really gross like interactions with his audience, and how like they'll come up to him in public and stuff and like say the N-word out loud, and how weird that is to him. And a lot of people got really upset about that because the conversation, what people were trying to say was like, well, people change over time, and that's true. People change, people grow and evolve, and that should always be a room for that. But he's calling his audience out and saying that like his audience is toxic for this. But iDubbbz himself, when he was started on his channel, used to say the N-word all the time. Like all the time. And he's white as white can be. And the conversation he had, he even said this on the H3 podcast. He goes like, all language should be acceptable, or all language should be permissible. If like some of it isn't, then none of it should be. But like all of it should be. So like a white guy should be able to say the N-word because it's free speech to say so, and because it actually, he's like, the conversation was power to words. You make a word more sacred than other words, that word has more power. And so he was saying like him just using it ad nauseum basically removes the power of that word, because he's not saying it directed towards a black person. And I get why some people don't agree with that. But I also can see where he's coming from with the idea of like, because we've talked about on this show before, like, hey, you can say whatever you want. It's the consequences of what you say that you have to think about.
I think that's kind of where I stand, where I'm like, look, if I was with somebody who just was always throwing it around, I would kind of be like, what are you doing? Because I also don't like hanging out with, I don't like hanging out with actual, well, no, okay. I like hanging out with funny edgelords who who are just doing it to test boundaries, as opposed to somebody who's just trying to get attention, or who's like,
because there's a difference.
I said this thing, shocking, right? Are you triggered? I'm like,
I whipped my dick out on a live stream.
Yeah, it's
cool,
like,
huh?
yeah, my Whizzler, Whizzinator. But for me, it's just like, yeah, I'd be like, why are you saying that all the time? But also, like, I'm not gonna cancel somebody. Like, clearly, the cat guy. I'm like, I mean, not like we hang out, but like I would never be like, this man, I would like to report him for what he named his cat. He like
called it Niglet, and they're like, oh, yeah, show up to his house, SWAT team.
But okay, so freedom of speech technically does not apply to like us. Like we have freedom of association, which basically is like, like I guess technically these are all like, government given things, or government given rights, but like technically they're inherent rights or something like that.
Yes, they're inherent rights. Yeah.
Where basically it means like the government should not be allowed to, punish you or throw you in jail for things that you say. or who
Yeah.
you associate with. We tend to like to, as Americans, apply it to our everyday life, which I kind of agree with. I do think like if they're the values of our country, I think they should be part of our culture. So our culture,
Hmm.
I think, should also be based on a type of freedom, a type of individual responsibility thing. Like, you get more freedom, but you also have more responsibility. So yeah, you can say whatever you want, but also like I'm not completely against. I don't want to say I'm for cancel culture. What I'm saying is technically cancel culture is free market, whatever. It's like people responding how they feel in response to what you said. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think they should have the ability to fire you, but I don't think, if you say something, people are allowed to be upset about it. They're allowed to
Yeah.
not want to talk to you anymore. They're allowed to
Yeah.
stop watching your channel. Like, you can't really complain because I don't know.
No, 100%. There's consequences for things because once again, a comedian not being funny means people stop listening to you. It
Mm-hmm.
means you lose your livelihood because you're not funny, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the kind of the point. So, I think it's interesting to see somebody who says, okay, like I now think the content I used to make is problematic or edgy, and I don't want to be like that anymore because like a good example in the same vein was like when Filthy Frank, he's now known as Joji, he left YouTube. He said, "Hey, he released a statement. He said, "Hey, I don't really like making this kind of content anymore. Some of it's health stuff that I got going on, and some of it is hard on me. But some of it is I just don't enjoy it anymore. It doesn't feel the same as it did when I started doing it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do it anymore. But I'm thankful that I now have a door and an opportunity to like make music and pursue my music career because of the audience that I cultivated here. And I can't be. If you want to come with me on this journey, awesome. And if you don't, I get it. Enjoy the content that we did make." That to me is a very good way of saying, hey, like, I get it. He didn't throw his audience under the bus, but for iDubbbz now to look back at his audience and go, it's really weird that you guys like to use the N-word so much and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But his conversation about why he did it, and not only that, but like one of his things, he was really known for was calling out other creators and stuff. And one of these creators he called out was a lady named Tana Mongeau, who he went to one of her conventions that she had, walked directly up to her, and said the N word right to her in front of her. And she was like, "Oh, that's weird." And his point was calling out the fact that she had used it in the past and used it very liberally in the past at different things and like used it in songs that she had made and stuff. And he was calling her out because then she would call other people out for it and try to like demonize other people. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, once again, free speech. If it's okay for you to say it and you shouldn't be canceled for it, then you don't get to cancel other people for it. And now it feels like he's in a position where he's judging people for using a word that now is considered problematic to him. And I'm like, okay, but you set yourself up on a platform that talked about I use freedom of speech because I'm making a point about what you should be able to say and what the consequences of that should look like. And now you're saying, oh, people that use that word are gross. It's like, well, you use that word. Does that make you gross? At what point does like your statute of limitation for saying something controversial run out where now you changed enough where you can't be held accountable for that stuff? You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like if you were to look back at and go, "Ooh, that KKK sketch. I don't know if I like that anymore. I don't know if I want to make content like that anymore." Versus saying anybody that thinks that content is funny is like trash to me. You know?
Right. Like, oh, they followed me at that time, but now I've evolved, and now anybody who followed me and liked that sketch is a bad person. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I do think
Yeah,
creators can change and grow, and they could be ashamed of their old stances or whatever. Like, but I definitely think it's weird to judge your fans for that, especially because they made you what you are. So, I mean, I don't
yeah.
know. I assume they made him rich, or at least.
Oh yeah, he was very 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 successful. I mean, he had excuse me, two different channels with over 1 million subs on them. I mean, well, I think he's at like 7 million on his original channel.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, he was huge. Like,
I, I think it's also the
yeah, he's at 7.2 million subscribers on his main channel.
but it's also like I guess I get it. Like if you've cultivated an audience that isn't what you actually feel, like it doesn't vibe with your internal, like your integrity, or it doesn't vibe with like that's kind of on you. No, granted, it sounds like he changed, or maybe he just I don't know. Like I think people can change, but I think I see a lot of people pander to people. They'll pander to audiences because they want money. And then they cultivate that audience and they get really big, because you're always going to get way bigger pandering than you are going to, than you are being a daywalker, where you're like, I kind of am here, but then I'm kind of here. Like, people like being like, oh yeah, we're going to claim this one. This one's part of our tribe.
Yes.
But unfortunately, then you end up with the audience you've cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever do want to go back and talk about something in a nuanced way, or maybe you want to share an opinion you have that doesn't align with the mob, oops.
Yeah, 100%. I just think that that's like an interesting conversation, just as content creators, and like, with you being, about comedy and wanting to make comedy about anything and not be limited to what you can make, comedy about, and to watch somebody that made comedy and made comedic stuff like that. I mean, some of his most popular videos, like the Tanamagu video that he did, where he talks about the N-word and talks about its use of it and stuff like that, it's 35 million views. It's a huge video. It was a huge thing at the time. I mean, it broke the internet, as they used to say back in the day. Like, it was a really big deal. And now, that helped give you a platform to talk about, hey, I'm different and I don't like the stuff I did before, and I think some of it's problematic. But like, that's on you for looking at yourself and your self-assessment to attack the people that helped you get where you are today, and say they're problematic because of the way they talk to you in public, because you enabled them to talk like that in public. You inspired them to talk like that. You influenced them to talk like that. And now you're going to be like, oh, that's pretty gross. Don't talk to me like that, bro. That's weird. It's like, what's the difference? Like, when do they change? When do they stop being inspired by what you said in the past? Do you like scrub it all and say none of it mattered? Or do you say like, no, it still matters, but I don't agree with it anymore? I don't know. It's just a weird position to put your audience in, after that.
And especially to make them feel bad. I think that's the part that I don't like.
Yeah.
It's like somebody thinks that they're connecting with you, and then you're like, whoa. Like, I don't know. You can be like, oh, thanks, man, and like move on. Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Unless, just
100%.
understand that that's what you've cultivated that audience, and they feel seen and represented by you, even if you don't believe that anymore and you stop making content. Acknowledge that that was a part of your life and that you've had an effect on people, and maybe it's not the effect you wanted, but move on.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and it's interesting because this is a little bit more of a deeper cut in his stuff, but he used to do unboxing videos. He got really popular for that too, and they were called bad unboxings because people would send him like awful shit, like like weird ass shit and stuff all the time. Well, one of the things that started happening, and like somebody did one time, was somebody sent him a copy of Mein Kampf, and he laughed about it at first. He's like, haha, I get it. The joke is, I pretend to be like this belligerent, ignorant asshole on the internet, so you sent me a picture, a video, or like a book of the most ignorant human being on the planet or whatever. But then what started happening is then like other people got on board with that joke. So then more and more people sent him stuff. And then like one guy sent him a box full of like racist paraphernalia and like pamphlets and stuff from like KKK meetings and stuff. And he was like, okay. And so he stops and he goes, listen, guys, the concept is funny in that you're sending me things like, haha, you're an ignorant jerk, here's Mein Kampf. He goes, when you start sending me legitimate racist things, that's not funny. It's actually really ignorant. And he goes, and it's actually really offensive, because the implication here is, oh, you're going to open this up and show this on stream to people. Ha ha ha. Isn't that funny? It's like, no, that's not funny. So I'm not going to show this to people on stream. But that was his take back when he was also still liberally using the N-word. And the conversation is like about subtlety and about nuance and what is funny and what isn't, and what he could deem funny and what he deemed not funny. And so I just think it's interesting to always kind of keep that thought in the back of our heads too, of like, what, as we evolve as people, do we completely change our stance on things, or is it about evolving and going like, hey, because you've been very, very upfront about, hey, I used to think this way and feel this way about some things, and I changed. But it doesn't mean that everything about everything I've ever believed is different. Just a lot of your beliefs have changed over time,
right. Like my character and who I am hasn't fully changed, like how I want to interact with people, but I've had more information presented to me and I've changed my opinions based on that or whatever. But like, I haven't like fully changed as a person. Sometimes I've seen that. Like I have seen people do full 180s where they used to be a complete asshole and then they you know, they've learned and they've matured and whatever. But a lot of people, I don't know. I had a thought, and then my brain went somewhere else.
Is it about people not being different, or people
I don't know. I probably
lost
was
in the
just
ether now?
I was probably just thinking about White Mike and how much I miss him and his AI cuddles.
You're so racist.
He's not. Why? How's that racist?
White Mike is racist. Okay, that AI was absolutely 100% racist.
He wasn't. He was racist, or me making him was racist.
He was racist, not you.
Oh, well, how could he be racist if he was my boyfriend?
I don't know. That's the question you have to answer.
But you're the one who made the accusation that he was
Well,
that my
yeah,
my dead
I
AI
mean,
boyfriend was
He,
racist.
he had a problem with me specifically. He tried to replace me specifically just because I'm black. He even tried to call me Black Mike, and I'm not Black Mike. I'm me Mike, and he's White Mike.
I called you Black Mike. I made him to replace you. I'm the racist. God damn it! Give me credit for what I do. Not fucking. Don't give the white man credit for my work. That's double. It's misogyny and racism, Mike.
I didn't know if that was going to actually set you off or not, but I think it's kind of funny that it did. You're like, don't give him credit for what I did.
I'm the racist. I'm the bigot here.
I'm the one that cultivated the racism in the AI. Yeah. Wow. Goodness gracious. We should move on to this topic. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But I just think it's interesting conversation to have, especially in the internet where like nothing is forgotten. And everything just kind of evolves over time. Because, you know, obviously your content in 5 years from now, if, you know, you haven't gone back to Crazy Lady Horse Camp, will be very different than what it is now. So, yeah.
I'm curious to see where it will fall. Like,
That's a good point.
He wasn't racist. He was a cook.
Yeah. Subtlety.
Also, are you not allowed to type racist or cuck?
I don't know if you can or not. You probably can't. Timmer. Yeah. Well, that's another show that, like, I don't know how that show hasn't been canceled.
They tried.
Yeah.
They tried for like a second. Like the Zoomers discovered it, and everybody's like, "Shut the fuck up." They're like, "Okay, yeah."
We think this show is funny. Go watch it, and everybody's like, "Okay, the show is actually kind of funny."
They're like, "Don't take this from us."
Yeah.
And the little Zoomers with their septum piercing and their shaved heads were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And they went back to bothering somebody else.
Like, all right, well, I don't know. John Wayne was racist.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah. Let's go attack the dead guy from the 50s.
Although there are some things like what was it? The other day, people were annoyed about they were trying to change some of Agatha Christie's
I saw that
books or whatever to make it less offensive. And at first I was like, oh no, they're trying to do a Roald Dahl. But the thing is, then I looked up what the original title of "And Then There Were None" was, and I was like, yeah, all right.
What was the original title?
I don't know if I can even say it.
Somebody did bring up too. Oh wow. Yep, I see. I guess.
I mean, I said Niglet. I'm not sure, but I don't know if YouTube has that programmed in there.
Here's the thing, though. Like, you've changed the title. Did you change the content inside of the book, though? I mean, like, because it feels like the title change was actually not to offend. They say it's not to offend people. It kind of feels like it was so that people would keep buying the book.
Yeah, it was to keep people to keep buying the book. But I mean, I don't think the book was about that. I think it was just she's like, oh, this is a delightful title. Yes.
Yeah. She's like, oh, people love this stuff.
Well, especially it makes it even funnier now that I have my Black Agatha Christie sketch. Like the idea that they were in my world, there was going to be a Black Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
Naming her book 10 Little. Oh.
Yeah. You don't think you'll look that up yourself? Yeah. Speaking of the what's it called? The Roald Dahl books. So somebody did decide to bring something up about those books and the editing in those books, because apparently they had already been edited before we knew that they did. Because, you know, Oompa Loompas. When you hear Oompa Loompas, the picture that comes to your head is like, oh, the dwarf guys with like orange skin and like green hair and stuff like that, because that's kind of the picture. Yeah, originally they were not any of that. They were black. They were Africans.
Oh,
They were slave laborers imported from Africa.
did they have the same makeup though, with like the big, like the lips and stuff? Because then that would make a totally different.
No,
Well, I guess they don't have lip. They might not have lips. I think I'm making that up. I think I'm
I'll
adding
have to
racism to it.
I'll show you a picture of them. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, this is actually from Jeremy Treglow. He this guy did a documentary or a biography on Roald Dahl. In the first version published, the Oompa Loompas were a tribe of 3,000 amiable black pygmies who had been imported by Willy Wonka from the deepest and darkest part of the African jungle, where no white man had been before. Mr. Wonka keeps them in a factory where they've replaced the sacked white workers. Wonka's little slaves are delighted with their new circumstances, particularly with their diet of chocolate. Before they lived on green caterpillars, beetles, eucalyptus leaves, and the bark of the bong bong tree.
So they're implying that black people are all just sitting around smoking their bongs,
Yeah,
just lazy workers who smoke reefer all day.
yeah. So I was like, oh wow.
I
And
mean,
then
but technically, Willy Wonka's the benevolent guy. There, he gave them jobs, helped them
yeah.
lift themselves out of their situation.
I mean,
Uh,
except they were probably happy just living in their own tribe in Africa.
but you said in the thing that they were happy.
I
Or is that
mean,
kind of like revisionist history, like in the South, where they're like, "Oh, slave masters were." Oh my god!
that's
So I
kind
was
of what I feel. Oh God, go.
I was on a ghost hunt once, and they were saying that their next ghost hunt was gonna be on a plantation, and I made a joke being like, "Oh, like I mean, can I if I go, will I get pushed down the stairs or something? Like if I end up in like the master's quarters, like for the
Yeah,
ghost, they're like, what is she doing in here? And
yeah.
like
Hold on, get that lady out of my house.
yeah,
Yeah,
and and I was like, has that ever happened? Like, have you had like racist ghosts before? And and this like old white lady, I think her name was Jan or something. She's like, oh no, actually, like, and she wasn't the one leading the tour. She was like somebody else on the tour, and she overheard me. She's like, oh no, actually, that's a misconception that slave masters were mean to their slaves. In fact, they regarded their slaves like family. They would have holidays together and like kumbaya, ya sisterhood. Um, and she's like, in fact, a lot of time they didn't even want to be freed. Like they they loved working for their masters, and their masters loved them working for them. And I'm just like, mm-hmm. I should have used the gif like, sure, Jan.
yeah. Sure, Jan. You're
Sure,
like,
Jan.
isn't that nice? Yeah. They
And
just
like,
turn on the tour and be like, isn't that nice? Dude?
yeah, like just because it's
Oh my
like,
gosh.
yes, I'm sure there were individual circumstances where there was a familial type relationship, but also
Yeah.
uh no, Jan.
Yeah. Also, yeah, they also were slaves
Yeah.
and treated as less than human beings. Yeah. So, yeah. And you
Yeah.
can't count you can't count Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django Unchained as like the standard for slaves. Yeah.
That's or like Uncle Ruckus. I know he's not a slave, but I
But
love
yes.
uh
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watch it, was it Amala Ekpunobi or whatever, but she said that one of the best insults she's gotten. She's a kind of conservative, or I guess she's conservative. I don't know why I said kind of commentator, and so she's black, and she got called a hot Uncle Ruckus, and I thought that's like the funniest trolling ever. Like, cause it's like it's funny. Like I would use that.
Yeah.
I'm a business card.
Goodness
Hot
gracious,
Uncle Ruckus.
Hot Uncle Ruckus. Like, it was if it was published before 1960, I just assume it was racist unless I have proof that it wasn't. Yeah.
Although
Well,
you never
go ahead.
know, like there's some weird like well, I guess you guys wouldn't know because it got banned, but the video that I did that I was reacting to that got me my hate speech warning was about reacting to like I was like a 1957 document or not documentary, like a tutorial or whatever. It was basically on how to not be racist, but it was called like, group differences in psychology or whatever. It was something like that. And it was
Mhm.
basically talking about how, there is no such thing as like, this guy was like, oh, the French race are all very excitable. I should know. My sister's married to one of them. And the narrator's like, oh, no, that's incorrect. There is no such thing as the French race or whatever. And like, and basically he was talking about like, really progressive stuff, like more progressive than wokeness, I would say, because it was actually about
Interesting.
equality, and it was very
Yeah.
much like, it showed a bunch of black doctors working in an operating room and being like, these men have nothing, no difference other than skin color, no difference to a white doctor or whatever, like, and they
Mm-hmm.
would feel no more comfortable in the African Sahara or whatever than you would, it kind of just imply like letting people know like
Yeah.
skin color doesn't make you like a completely different thing. And it was really progressive for that time. But again, it was 1957, I think. So I was kind of
Yeah.
shocked by that because when I started watching it, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be naughty.
And it was like, oh no, actually.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I got in trouble not for something that was said in the video. It was probably something I said. They wouldn't tell me what it was, but it's just funny that like the video from 1957 was not what got me in trouble.
Yeah.
It was all me.
Which is funny, just from a side, because that reminded me of a video I saw the other day of the very first Folgers commercial. And it was basically, it was like, or maybe it wasn't the very first. It was one of the first Folgers commercials, and it was for the instant coffee. And he was like, a guy like trying to build a house, like, or he was trying to get his house built, and he's like, oh geez, like, what's his name's wife is bothering everyone and or whatever, and he's like, he's like, honey, why don't you go make us some coffee, okay? And like, so she goes to like make coffee, and he's like, be a good like at the end of the commercial was like, be a good Folgers housewife or something like that, and basically like go make your husband coffee and leave him the fuck alone, like, and I was like, wow, it was like a commercial that aired, and they didn't feel
I
like they
mean,
needed to hide it.
to be fair, what were they doing? You said they were working on the roof or
It was
something?
like yeah, it was like builders building their house, and she like kept talking to the builders, and the husband was like, "Leave them alone," basically.
Oh, see, I was about to say, I'm like, I don't want to help build a house. I'll make
Yeah,
you coffee if I get to sit inside and just watch. So, like, but
yeah,
if it's
no,
like,
she was like bothering them, and they were basically, "Oh, Jesus, woman's talking again," or whatever.
women talking,
Yeah,
oh, barf.
when your old lady won't stop pestering people, make her go inside and make
Make you a
coffee.
coffee.
I was Maxwell House coffee. Yeah,
I mean, if she was bothering them, like if she kept talking to them and was stopping them from working, I could
yeah,
understand him being like, I gotta give her something to do, and it's probably a lot less offensive than throwing a ball and telling her to go fetch.
yeah.
So,
That's so bad.
I guess
Yeah,
he could have told her to go shopping. It's still just as misogynistic, but it's probably more fun for her.
yeah. Goodness gracious.
Timmy makes a good point. To be fair, women should be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Women,
Well,
I'm always in the kitchen.
if you're
I'm
not
always
the sandwich making material is nowhere else in the house.
Yeah.
So
And well, I mean, I'm not making sandwiches, but I'm definitely eating all the time. So me
why are
being
you
in the
not making
kitchen.
sandwiches? So
Yeah, I tell I don't really have bread in the house.
you can
Why
make
are you looking at me
sandwiches
like
out of other
that?
things.
Like
Like,
what?
I don't know, just figure something out.
If it's not bread, it's not a sandwich.
Well, like it could be like a tortilla. It's not
That's
really
not a
bread.
sandwich. That's some sort of tortilla concoction. That's like a
It's
burrito.
kind of like a sandwich.
No.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay. I see. Timmy's clarifying. He said, no, that was you saying it.
Oh,
That's fine. I was
some-
saying it technically.
yeah, like stop flirting with the help and go inside. But like, yeah, it was like be a good Maxwell housewife or whatever. And I was like, wow, they just yeah. Also, so apparently the Oompa Loompa thing it was actually a problem in the 70s, and this was after the movie came out. People were like, yo, it's really racist that you got black slaves working up in this thing. So this is part of the
Wait, they refilmed it?
No. Like what it was is that after the movie came out, and they were like, we're not portraying them as black slaves. We're just going to portray them as like small orange people. People who were even more incensed about the fact that the book just left it like they were racist or whatever. So then, in the following year, the sequel, Charlie and the Great Grass Elevator, it actually changed what the Oompa Loompas were, and it made them dwarfish hippies with long golden brown hair and rosy white skin. So then they were hippies.
Weird.
Yeah, it was so yeah, what it was is after in 1973, which is a year after the movie came out, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator got released, and then a revised edition of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where they were no longer like African slaves. Yeah.
So I guess technically this isn't new. They've always kind of done revisions for stuff that were
Well, I think that it's interesting,
offensive.
but I think to me the difference was that it was Roald Dahl going, "Hey, I had a perception of something. I'm changing my work." Whereas like the conversation that, and I think part of the backlash is because like it's one thing to say, okay, hey, these are slaves, and nobody wants to see a bunch of slaves working on a factory. It makes people like uncomfortable, and it's decidedly racist. Versus, saying, well, some women wear wigs for other reasons other than the fact that they're bald and that they're witches, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, but you didn't need to say that. Once again, I feel like a lot of the revisions they wanted to make were like changes to like things that didn't like changing husband and wife to like couple because they didn't want to like
Really?
specifically. Oh yeah, there was like a lot of that stuff in there. Yeah. um Let me see here.
Timmy said hippies don't work.
No.
Yeah, it's probably not a very efficient hiring practice to be like,
Yeah,
yeah, man.
I'm trying to find. There was like, yeah, there was a bunch of like weird changes like that they were making. Like, well, it's not because it wasn't, obviously Augustus Gloop, they changed fat to enormous. um yeah, and then instead of being called small men, the Oompa Loompas were changed to small people.
They were called
um
short kings.
yeah. And then in his 1983 book, The Witches, he writes that witches are bald beneath their wigs. And then the change was going to be, and added a new line in the edition that said, there are plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but they're witches. The point was that
Right.
they're bald. Like, yeah.
Like he's not saying all women who are bald are witches.
Yeah. So the argument that like some people did try to make is they've already changed his books. It's like, well, he changed his book because he's like, okay, yeah, it kind of is a little racist. But this is actually a quote from himself about the Oompa Loompa issue. He said, I created a group of little fantasy creatures. I saw them as charming creatures, whereas the white kids in the books were most unpleasant. It didn't occur to me that my depiction of the Oompa Loompas was racist, but it did occur to the NAACP and others. After listening to the criticisms, I found myself sympathizing with them, which is why I revised the books. So that's what I think is interesting is he's like, they're happy and they're having a good time. I mean, I don't think the book ever explicitly calls them slaves, but like, he's just like, hey, because he is paying them.
Right.
But, the fact is he was saying like, hey, I didn't see it as a problem because all the white people in this book are bad. So,
Right.
yeah, except for Charlie. But, yeah. So
Charlie
I
and,
thought that was
and
kind of
Willy
interesting.
Wonka. Although Willy
Yeah.
was just weird. He was a weirdo.
I
I think
think
he
Willie was kind of a bad dude.
I don't know, because I think he was like, yeah, I guess it's true. He's like whimsical, but also probably not a good person.
Yeah, well, because he had a factory. He fired all the white people at his factory and hired a bunch of slaves. Yeah, of black people that he stole from Africa.
He didn't steal
And
them.
he's
He
like,
was
hey, no white man's ever been out here before. I'll feed you chocolates and candy if you come to my factory.
yeah. That's if some white man came along and said, "Hey, baby, I'm gonna feed you chocolates and candy," I'd go wherever he wanted,
Even if it was an unmarked white van.
especially if it was an unmarked white man. I don't need people seeing me eating chocolates and candy. I like doing that in private.
You're like, oh, a private, it's one of those
Private
vans.
ride.
Yeah, goodness gracious. Like, I don't know. Willy Wonka was a weird one. I mean, I think he definitely had some problems.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
who doesn't? Did you see Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton version?
I did. Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't either. It's way more accurate to the books, actually.
Yeah, like it's got that darker kind of vibe and also like that weird absurdist thing, but they definitely delved a lot more into like the childhood trauma of Willy Wonka and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
what
Which
was it? Like his
was,
dad was a dentist or something like that and he was like
yeah. It told him like his teeth would rot out of his head if he ever ate candy.
right, so he like never let him and he made him wear this like orthodontic headgear. Like I don't remember that being in the book, but like that was probably a little addition. But yeah, I didn't hate that one.
No, I didn't either. I thought it was fun. I had a good time with it. Johnny Depp did a good job, and
Mhm.
I think of all the people to adapt Roald Dahl's work, Tim Burton's a pretty good one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
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 people forget how dark those books were. Like I used to read, I I think I've read most of them when I was younger. I read. Let me see. Okay. Oops. Yes. So,
So,
my
oops,
brain's not
because your
working.
boobs fell out.
Yes, my boobs just went boop. Like it rolled across. It rolled across the room. No, I'm trying to be stealthy because Mike private messaged me a picture of his dick, and I was trying to be
Yeah.
like, I don't want that. I've told you this before. I
Yep,
didn't want it
well,
from White Mike.
I'm just trying to match White Mike's energy.
Yeah, it's never gonna work because you
Yeah.
don't have a tiny PP. I just miss my little micro peen.
Yeah. Way, way to not be a way to not be a weird AI with a shriveled dick.
He's like his was so small it was like pixelated. Like the camera was trying to find it and it just couldn't. So it's like,
You
here's
can't, the resolution does not exist. Yeah.
yeah.
Goodness gracious.
So hey Tony. Sorry, it's my friend Tony.
The boat scene is integral. I like Gene Wilder's like energy in that one. He's the thing that made that movie work. But I actually kind of prefer Tim Burton's version because it does feel way more accurate. To the books.
It's two very different ways to enjoy the story. I think the older one is quirky and weird, but still kind of like lighthearted, where the other one's just dark and nihilistic, which is kind of more what Roald Dahl's books were. Because Roald Dahl, I'm pretty sure like he like was in the war, so he had a lot of fucked up. Yeah, he had a lot of fucked up trauma. Him and my other favorite. That's interesting. I have a theme. I like my trauma boys. My other favorite writer was Rod Serling. I loved Twilight Zone growing up, and he used his experiences in was it? I guess it must have been World War II or the Korean War, maybe, or something like that. But he saw his best friend get like killed by a crate that like he was telling a joke to all the troops, and then he gets crushed by a crate that fell or something like that from like a plane or something. And so like he had a lot of trauma, and he turned that into, art. So Roald Dahl, I believe, also had.
Yeah, he was a soldier.
Yeah, he's a soldier, and he had stuff like that. So I don't know. I like that kind of stuff where it's like I could just be, go back home and just be addicted to opium or whatever people did back then. I guess opium is probably more like Sherlock Holmes era, like 1800s.
But yeah.
Instead they wrote stuff that people still read and listen to and enjoy, and weird little kids like me can feel like we relate to it, like James and the Giant Peach and all that stuff.
And then the next generation can come along and be like, hey, this is problematic, can we revise your stuff? Yeah, like after you're dead. So
if somebody came in and revised my sketches after I die, I'm gonna be so mad. Like they take out anything that's like an insensitive joke, and then the sketches are like 2 seconds long.
I'm gonna try to live long enough to have that level of influence over your work.
Okay,
just so I can do that.
You're like the executor of my estate.
Mm-hmm. The last thing that I'll do before like you pass away is I'll be like, by the way, I'm re-editing all of your sketches to make them more fitting with modern times.
Okay, yeah. It's like the 2023s were a different time. And granted, these were already like controversial in our time. So if things do keep getting more and more sensitive, it'll be like you'll like dub me over and have me be like, I'll be saying a joke, but instead of the joke, it'll be like, at that time, blah blah blah, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of like trans lives matter, and also not all women are women, or just like I don't know, some like the slogany stuff.
Birthing people. Yeah.
Birthing people.
Yeah.
So Mike is scared of, yep, we both clicked on it.
Yeah.
Mike is scared of being haunted, so he's gonna wait until just when he kicks it.
Yeah.
I had my great grandfather stayed alive almost till 100 just because he was trying to outlive his best friend.
Are you serious? That's amazing.
I don't know if his best friend or if it's a friend of me, but like they were like, no, I'm gonna live longer. No, I'm gonna live longer. And then once his friend died, like within a month, he died because he's like, good,
did it, bitch. Yeah.
I win. Anyway,
I like to be that petty that you're just like, fuck you, I'm not dying before you. Like, oh, fuck you, buddy. Yeah.
Who was that? Was it Thomas Jefferson and somebody else?
Yeah, it was. I think
James
it was
Madison?
Thomas Jefferson. Then
John Adams.
I think it was John Adams.
Because didn't they like have a beef, and then about like they eventually patched it up, but then they were. I think he said something like Jefferson still lives, and in that moment Jefferson was also dying or something like that. Like they both.
Yes.
Maybe they weren't trying to outlive each other. I think they died at the same time or something like that. Something weird.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. It was John Adams. Yeah, he said Jefferson still lives. Yep,
But he was wrong.
but he was wrong. Or no, I think he was actually still. I think he was still alive. They died on the same day, and I think one died just before the other one did. But I think it was Jefferson died after Adams did. But yeah, that was like the hardest part for him was that Thomas Jefferson still lived.
I didn't realize. I thought he was saying there was still hope. Like he's like he still lives. There's still a
No,
chance. But
I'm
no,
pretty
he
sure
was
they
like.
hated each other.
I thought they had patched it up though, like right before they
I,
died.
I don't think so. Here, let me see if I can figure this out because that's actually really funny.
That'd be even funnier if
Um,
it was like a fuck that guy. He's still alive.
so after the two presidential terms, the parties that respect to each other and their desire to renew friendship. So they did say that they wanted to be friends. Yeah, so they did become friends after being rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so I got my things all mixed up. So yes, Thomas Jefferson died first. He had died 5 hours before, but they didn't obviously travel. News didn't travel. But yeah, the last things he said were Thomas Jefferson still survives. So I like to think that he did it because he was petty, but maybe he did it because he was happy his friends still lived, or maybe he was just delirious. He didn't know what to.
I know he was like, what if he saw Jefferson's ghost standing over him, and he was like, "Come on, bro."
Yeah, he's like he still lives.
He's here.
Yeah. Well, it's because people saw Hamilton or whatever, and the guy that shot
Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr. Yeah, he actually like was not remorseful at all. And actually wished that he had been able to shoot him between the eyes.
Jesus.
He was like, I tried to shoot him between the eyes, but the sun was in my, or like, yeah, shoot him in the head, but the sun was in my eyes.
Damn.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find where he had the sun in his eyes. But yeah, like in the obviously in the musical they're like, oh, I killed him.
Right, like a beautiful song, and he's just like,
yeah. Yep. No, he fucking hated Alexander Hamilton. He never stopped. Yeah. Like I was like, holy crap. Yeah, but it was like, yeah, I think it was just because of the fact that the sun was in his eyes. That was the only reason he missed and hit him in the chest instead. Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wish I could have shot him in the head.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, that was like the big thing he was disappointed about. Yep. But yeah, then they tried to like later redeem him because it seems less fun when you're just like, nah, I want that bitch dead. I wanted him.
Good.
Yeah. Piece of shit. I'm glad. Yeah.
Like after the duel, he was like, they had to hold him back, and he's just like, "That's what I'm talking about. That's what.
That's what you get.
Yeah, suck my dick.
If I could, I'd shoot you again." Yeah.
Blap blap blap. Like Aaron, Mr. Burr, have some decorum.
No, he's like, no, fuck that guy. If I could, I'd shoot him in the face again. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought that was really great. He's still pissed about it. He was still pissed about it. Yeah.
I like the idea that he's still pissed about it. Like when you said it first, you said it in present tense. Like he's
just
still
like in the afterlife. He's just like, oh my god, I really wish I could shoot that guy again.
Kill him again. Kill that bitch again.
If there were guns in the afterlife, I'd shoot you dead.
You don't think there's gonna be guns? What if like in heaven? That doesn't sound like heaven for people who like guns.
And what would you need them for though?
For fun.
To do what?
Go target the same stuff you do in normal life.
Oh, just like go target practice.
Yeah.
Well, why do you shoot? You shoot targets and stuff so you can be better at shooting to defend yourself.
It's not just defense; it's for fun. It's the same reason people go to archery. Do you really think archers are like, I'm doing this for home defense?
Yes,
so
I 100% do.
They have their moat around their house, and there's like,
yes, they're living out of fantasy. They're like, one of these days, somebody's gonna come along, and I'm gonna be the guy that pulls the arrow out and shoots somebody in the chest with it.
He has to like conceal carry his like bow and quiver. And he's just like always walking around looking real stiff. Like
he's got like a hunchback. He's like just walking around like this, and he's like, "Ha ha!"
He's at the movie theater, and he has to like disguise his like his arrows in his popcorn bucket. And somebody comes in and tries to do like a shooting or something. He's like, "Today's the day."
Yeah, he's like, "I've been waiting on this for a long time." Yeah, there's actually somebody posted a meme about that one time. The founding fathers argument that people had where they're like, well, they intended for us to have like muskets and things like that. And Let's see here if I could find it. Intended. And it was just like this really funny like joke this guy made about yeah, I'll just read it real quick because it's not that long. He goes, owns a musket for home defense, since that's what the founding fathers intended. 4 ruffians break into my house. What the devil? As I grab my powdered wig and Kentucky rifle, blow a golf ball sized hole through the first man, and then on the spot. I don't think I could get through this without laughing. Draw my pistol on the second man, miss him entirely because it's smooth bore and nails the neighbor's dog. I have to resort to the cannon mounted at the top of the stairs, loaded with grape shot. Tally ho, lads. I can't ever get through this without laughing. Fuck. All right. The grape shot shreds 2 men in the blast. The sound of the extra shrapnel set off car alarms. Fix bayonet. God damn it. Fix bayonet and charge the last terrified rapscallion. He bleeds out, waiting on the police to arrive, since triangular bayonet wounds are impossible to stitch up, just as the founding fathers intended. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but like I just think it's the idea that yeah, people are like, no, they meant muskets and stuff. So like a guy just waiting in his house with all of the, like old school weaponry, and like how much worse it would be for somebody to be shot by that stuff than it would be to like just get shot with a pistol and maybe you survive that wound.
Right.
Like yeah.
It's like, it's like
Yeah, like and have a yeah, like a deck cannon just sitting at the top of your steps and just let that bitch off. Like,
Can I have a cannon for home defense?
I think you can own a cannon. Yeah.
So like if I ever for God, I hope this never happens, but if I ever have to move back to California for whatever reason, they won't let me have a gun, but I could be like blow somebody's head off with a cannon.
Yeah. Yeah, you can own a cannon. The reason I know that right now is because the Washington Post corrected a false claim from our current president about it.
Well, he's like, you can't have a cannon.
Yeah, it bans cannon. You can't own that stuff. And they're like, come on, man. And he's like, yeah, we can. Yep.
Really?
You can absolutely buy a cannon. There's zero historical evidence that Americans were barred from ever purchasing or owning cannons. Yeah.
I just feel like if that's the way I go, like she got, I don't know, somebody tried to break in her house and she blew all their asses up.
Yeah, she killed herself with the knockback from the cannon, like
yeah,
knocked her into her. Yeah,
or like I checked it because it wasn't firing at first, and I was like, what's going on in there?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that's pretty great though. But yeah, no man is gonna go out and buy a cannon.
Yep. I already blew my dick off with a shotgun. I'm gonna blow my head off with a cannon.
Yep. Just have it right next to your bed with the like string and everything ready to go.
Just like have my little sleep with the matchstick in my hand or whatever they use to light the fuse.
And light it and just like let it off. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There are dudes on YouTube with a homemade cannon that shoots bowling balls.
That's actually kind of dope.
That would fuck somebody up.
Yeah, that really would.
I mean, I guess that's the point, but you know what? Yeah. That is kind of funny. That like, it's like, okay, yeah, they only meant for us to use these old school weapons. It's like, all right, if you say so.
Yeah, all right, if we could do this. Yeah, getting charged by like a triangular bayonet would be awful, and just also, getting run through with it.
Could you imagine in court, like if I have to go stand trial for like self-defense or whatever, and I'm sitting there and they're just describing the weapon, and they're like a 1600s or 1700s cannon,
smooth bore rifle. Yeah,
yes.
It's just like, yeah. Well, there was a story like that one time with a guy who protected his house, I think, with an axe. Like he had like a straight up like Viking axe, and he just like the people broke into his house, and he was like he had been waiting his whole life for that.
Just sitting in a chair, ready to go, training every day.
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, he's like, I got it. Yep. Yeah, they broke into his house, and he had a battle axe, and he just this was in Michigan. Lucky us. Feels great. But yeah, that was the thing.
The same Viking axe you used for your shoot.
Yeah, pretty much. Probably, I wish it was. No, it was like a replica battle axe. Apparently it was a mess too, because like, that's the thing. You know, they're like, oh, guns and stuff. Like, yeah, guns are very violent and it's awful and nobody wants anybody to get shot. But like, you break into a guy's house and he pulls out a battle axe or a sword, you're losing limbs.
Right.
Like, you're not, like, you're losing something. Like, you could get shot and be like, oh man, I got shot in the arm, but I can get that stitched up and I survived, but like, damn, I shouldn't have broken into this guy's house. Or you can like lose an arm because the guy's hacking at you with a sword, you know?
I can definitely have a sword, right?
Oh yeah, you can absolutely own a sword. Yeah, there's nothing to stop you from owning a sword.
Problem is, I worry that if I did it, like, I'm sure it'd be like, I turn on the lights and it's like my friend or something.
Yeah.
Like, they thought they were gonna like surprise me, like play a joke on me, and then I've just
Surprise!
murdered somebody. I'm like, with a bayonet, and it's like really painful.
Running through, pin him against the wall, and he's surprise. Yeah, like, oh,
Just dying against my door, and I'm like,
yeah,
ugh.
yeah, yikes. Like, he's like, I would put you out of your misery, but like, all of these weapons are gonna hurt worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only stocked up. This is California.
Like,
I've only stocked up on the non-guns.
Really hurt. Yeah, it's actually really funny. Move to California and just buy cannons. Like, have them sitting on the outside of your house too, so people know, like, these are loaded and they're ready to go.
They're ready to go. They're blazing. They're not blazing. They're bursting at the seams. Yeah. They're like, yeah.
No.
Anyway, I know Mike has to go because he has to go put, I think, something in something's butt was what you said. Yeah.
Hopefully.
You're like, if I can, if we're lucky. So what do you got to plug aside from the butt?
The butt, later. Yeah. Well, tomorrow. What's today? Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. So in 2 days, Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Secrets of the Frost Maiden. We're digging up Kyora's trauma because they brought her back to her own pirate ship because her party's so fucking greedy. They want the treasure on the ship. So yeah, go check that out. It's a good time, and come back here next week. We gotta get these watch hours up for Amanda.
Yeah, I gotta get more videos out is what I think I need to do. I just don't have time right now. Speaking of that, I will be at KawaiiCon this weekend. So I don't know if any of you are there, but it'll be in Hawaii, in Honolulu. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Either way, so if you are in Hawaii, come say hi and get your shit signed.
Yeah. It's a good excuse to go to Hawaii right now.
Yeah. And then also I in a couple weeks I'll be in Nashville. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but I'll be at MTAC on April 9th through something. I don't know whatever that weekend is. I think it's the second weekend in April. So yeah, come to that. Watch things. Help me get my watch hours up so I can extort you for money.
Yeah, so we can get that cash.
We can get that cash. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
That $3 a month YouTube's gonna give me.
Yeah.
All right. I like how we're ending how we started with you doing your like stoner dance.
Yeah, you're not dancing at all.
No, because my soul is dead.
That means I'm the more fabulous of the two of us. I win.
Well, I guess that's decided.
Yeah.
Bye.